All right.
It's okay. Just say Olya.
Olya.
Yeah.
Olya. It's such an interesting name. What does that mean?
It's actually a nickname for Olga. Olga is my legal name.
Oh, I know Olga.
Andrew and Andy, same Olga and Olya.
Olya. How you say it?
Olya.
Olya.
Yes.
Olya. Olya. It's almost like you don't pronounce the L. Olya.
Yeah, it's like a soft, and if you write it in Cyrillic, acrylic, then it's O, L, and letter Ya, not Y-A, like in English. You would spell it out as Y-A, but in Russian it's only 3 letters. Olya.
Okay.
So 2 syllables.
Now, you're from Moldova.
I'm from Moldova, yeah.
Now, it's not, their native or main language is Moldovan or Romanian? Romanian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where do you know that from? Nobody knows that.
What?
That it's Romanian, not
'Cause
Moldovan.
I told you.
You speak Moldovan? I'm like, nope, not a language.
Romanian, the country to the west. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And Ukraine, the country to the east.
Even more unbelievable.
I'm sure a lot of turmoil
Oh
over
my God.
thousands of years.
Lots.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I can't
It's
imagine.
Incredible.
And then I'm assuming occupied by the Ottoman Empire at a point.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For it's either Ottoman Empire and then independency for like a hot second, and then never mind, we're gonna give you to Russia, and gave us to Russia.
Why did that, and how does that happen to all these countries, mainly these Central and Eastern European countries? Like, why do they're like rag dolls to like these bigger empires?
Yeah, it's incredible that the trinity of the Romanian countries. There used to be Romania, Transylvania, and Moldova. And then the present-day Moldova, it's actually about 1/3 of original Moldova, which is now Romanian territory.
Yeah, it's small.
It used to be all the same, the same population, same historically and I don't know how do you say that, anthropologically speaking, we are the same people, Moldova, Romania, and Transylvania. It's all the same nation, but there's been a lot of, divide and conquer type of things.
Yeah. Do you think that has to do with probably just geographical placement?
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
landlocked?
Right now we are landlocked, but we used to have direct access to the Black Sea, and so that was very sought after, and then that territory was forever given to modern-day Ukraine. Moldova used to have access to the Black Sea, though.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, Ukraine is really big.
Yeah, Ukraine is like, I don't know, 7 times bigger than Moldova. Yeah, it's huge.
And you were born in Moldova.
I was born in Moldova, yeah.
And when did you come to America?
I came here 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
for
I was
college.
18. For college. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And we met through you being in a band, and you're a violinist. And I remember, I don't know how I got it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I used a little bit of experience to guess that, but I guess
course.
the age you started
Yeah,
playing.
the first things you said to me.
And I guessed how old you were.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the last thing I guessed. I got 3 things, I guessed.
You did.
Was it where you were from?
I don't know.
No, that would have been really crazy if I guessed
One of the most memorable things, though, was that I said to you that people find me intimidating, and then you said something very revelatory to me, that most of it's my accent. And I was like, whoa,
Oh, yeah.
it's true.
It's always the accent. An accent, particularly on a woman,
Oh, yeah. Eastern
to
European
a
accent.
man,
Yeah.
is a very intimidating thing, not in a negative way. It's just, you also have a different dynamic socially in other
of
countries, especially countries that are harder, like literally harder
Yeah.
on their citizens and people. It's a more harder upbringing. Polish, German, Czech, Austrian, Moldovan, Belarus, Ukrainian, like Russian, all of that.
Yeah.
It's a much stricter and harsher upbringing.
Absolutely.
And you add an accent with that mentality to like the softness of American society.
Right, to the extremely polite, nobody wants to offend anybody type of society. It was, I cannot tell you how annoyed I was when I first got here, and how irritating I found like most of the American qualities.
Like what? Can you be more specific?
I just felt like everybody was fake, you know? I couldn't help but feel like, well, first of all, it's if you come from my culture, it's weird to hear "How are you," and then not have a conversation about how the person is doing. Like in America, if you ask "How are you," the expectation is good.
Yeah.
No matter how the hell you're doing, right? I'm good. How are you? Oh, I'm great. Okay, great. Then that's a superficial conversation.
Go about your way. Right.
Exactly.
So what would be, give me an example of what a conversation would be like.
How are you? Oh, doing good. Did this and that and whatever. And then you have a little like chit chat about what you did. And then you may have a, I don't know, somewhat of a deep exchange, about like what you're feeling while doing something, and like I don't know, it seemed at least more meaningful to have a conversation like that versus "How are you?" Great.
Well, now that's something you would have with just anybody, even a random person on the road, on the street.
That's the major difference. You don't ask unless you don't want to know.
Right. Do you think that's just... See, I always have this hard time with America versus other countries because there are different ethnicities and religions in other countries, but it's not as extreme as America.
Right.
America's like everything in the world in one place.
Right.
So you create a really not in-depth culture. We don't have 1,000 years like you have or further.
Right.
We don't have this like we have to stick together to get through something. We used to, but it was mostly just through like world wars.
Right.
Again, we're detached. Those happened in Europe and the Pacific, and we're in America. Our states are landlocked, and we have safety on both sides of this water.
Safety.
Safety, right? And we just kind of strong-arm Mexico below us, and nobody cares about Canada above us. Yeah, really. And so we kind of have we're in our own little la-la land over here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you really can tell by lots of aspects of the American culture, like the World Cup. What? How is it a World Cup?
Oh, the World Series?
I'm sorry. The World Series. Right. The World Cup is totally different. But World Series. Okay, first time
hilarious.
I heard that, I was like, between who's the world? America and America. That really encompasses the American culture, I feel like.
Yeah, very, I don't know if this is a phrase, but a very national-centric country.
Absolutely. America, best country in the nation.
Number one, and that. We're not number one at a lot.
No.
Especially with education, health,
Oh my God.
literacy, even GDP. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
we're good at a lot of things. We
Yeah.
really are, but that's because we have a massive amount of people to choose from. Yeah. We extrapolate the best around the world. Like the NBA, for basketball, there's a lot of players from America, but when they're from Asia or Europe, we just take the best ones. We pick them from around the world, and our teams are unstoppable, especially in the Olympics.
Yeah.
They win gold every year.
Yeah.
Because you have the best players everywhere. And
Yeah.
I mean, even players who are born in other countries have to play for those teams. Like if someone's from Croatia, they have to play for that team in the Olympics. But we still have such good players in America.
Yeah.
Just naturally. I mean, it is a huge American sport. But the World Series is a funny one.
Yeah.
Traditional football, or what we call soccer here, is so popular around the world. The most popular sport there is. But not here in America. I mean, it's popular, but not really. It's more popularized by people who come here from Europe and Mexico. Like my grandfather is Mexican, or was, he passed away a long time ago, but he watched so much football.
Yeah, I watched it growing up.
Yeah. And I liked it a lot.
It
was never pushed on by more family and friends around me. I always enjoyed playing it and stuff. I just never really took to it. It was always baseball, football, hockey,
soccer. It's less dramatic.
It's less
than
dramatic.
American football.
Yeah.
When you can get a concussion just by being out there.
I know. And I don't really care for those types of sports. I care more for the strategic ones, the put in the time, using your mind. I really enjoy, that's why I do like soccer. I'll use soccer for the sake of people listening,
Sure.
Golf, soccer, Formula One racing, things that are super strategic, super mathematical and planned out and take a lot of time and effort, and there's so many moving parts. It's just, I don't know, I like it. Chess, I'm a big fan of chess.
Funny you mentioned soccer and chess in the same sort of topic of conversation, because there's a Russian joke that I will try to tell you. What's the difference between chess and soccer. Chess, everybody can but doesn't know how. And soccer, everybody knows how but can't.
Yeah.
You know?
Russian humor.
Totally.
Very dry.
Very dry. It sounds better in Russian, I promise.
I've heard that about a lot of jokes. Like they don't
Yeah, of
always
course.
work well.
Translation.
And also like cultural norms, pop culture references.
Sure.
Just not the same across all cultures, but that's funny. Very true. I really love chess. Probably my favorite game to play. And I don't have enough people to play with.
But I suck at it.
You suck at it?
So
Suck at it? Like,
so bad.
in what way? Like, if you played it, do you know all the moves you can do and the strategy behind all the parts? And what?
I know basics, but I don't know.
Executing it just doesn't come to fruition?
No. It's not like, okay, I suck at it. I suck at it because I haven't spent time learning how to do it well. It's not like, oh, I tried so hard and I suck at it. No, I just didn't spend so much. Like, I would not say I suck at the violin, even though I feel that way, even though I've been playing.
You definitely do not suck at the violin, I'll tell you that right now.
I've been playing 22 years, and, there are definitely times when I feel like, why? What is happening right here? Like, what am I, why? What
You're
is happening?
not detached from it. Not only have you been playing a long time, like I've been playing guitar for 17 years.
Yeah.
But you've been playing for 22 years and you started at 5.
Yeah.
You really don't know what it's like to not know how to play the violin.
Right.
Like, even if you go back to your most distant memory, you still don't really know what it's like to not play this instrument.
That is true.
So you'll never have that third-person perspective, that outlook, that balance of stepping away, meaning like this, and that. Like, you can try to fathom it, but you'll never get there. Like, it is part of who you are.
Absolutely.
So you are so critical on yourself. And that's a good thing, but at a certain point, you have to know when to, like, I have to accept it for what it is. You're a human being,
I definitely would not learn this if I still lived in Moldova. Absolutely would not have learned this. This is something that I understood here, living in the U.S.
What made you understand that through living here versus Moldova?
Probably because, well, oh my God, so many things. What comes to mind is that, when you're a classically trained musician, you're sort of ingrained with the idea of perfection, and you have to, be really good at executing every single note and don't cheat and, like, be perfect. My chamber music professor at Roosevelt used to joke with us. He would explain a concept to us about how to play something in a quartet, for example, and he would be like, "Okay, got it. Okay, now do it perfectly. Okay." It's not possible. That's the funny part. It's not possible. Playing in bands, that's what did it for me. Playing in bands, it's not about perfection. And then I had a major realization that my favorite non-classical musicians are actually not very good at their instruments.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's the most fun.
John Lennon sucks at piano. Like, let's be honest. His piano playing is like a third grader who just learned how to play some chords, yet it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So realizing that chilled me out a lot.
Well, do you think that the whole term classically trained, it comes from the classics? It comes from hundreds of years of an old way of doing something because...
Tradition.
Well, there was no recorded music.
Right.
Up until the last 120 years and really well recorded in the last 80 years.
Right.
And because of that, the only way to hear music was to go see it performed. And I think the whole idea of making something sound the best it could had to be at a concert, had to be at a performance. You had to go to these acoustically built and treated facilities, these theaters, and see this spectacle, which was an orchestral piece. And it took a long time to learn these instruments. There was not a YouTube video. There was not, people to give lessons left and right all over the place. You can find lessons all the time now. There's so many people everywhere. You can look it up on your phone.
Doesn't mean it will be good.
No, it doesn't mean it'll be good,
but
not having that available, it meant the person had to learn that really well from someone, just them two. There was no one else to teach you.
From the start, too.
From the start.
Yeah.
There was, especially before it was easy to even get books, 500 years ago. So the classics, it's like you're, past the Baroque era and the Romantic era and going into the 20th century. I start to feel like it started fading once you had recorded music and you started implementing other instruments and started cross-genre, like cross-pollinating all these ideas from Africa, Europe, the Middle East, Asian music, and Native American music. And I think that's when the right word wouldn't be perfection, but the lack of perfection started to be more acceptable because people started to realize you can express yourself in other ways. It doesn't have to be so strategic and so stringent and hard on you. Rock and roll is so sloppy. The 60s rock and roll is sloppy. It's just a bunch of people been playing instruments for a little bit. And they just started putting it together in a new way.
It's brilliant. It blows
great.
my mind. Blows my mind that, like, there are musicians who are so square and they studied music for like 20, 30, 40 years. They can't improvise for shit. It's incredible. And then you like have someone who loves music, was like listening to, I don't know, Beatles growing up and was like, well, I can do this, picked up a guitar and played a couple of chords and thinks he's brilliant and is probably going to write more songs than someone who studied classical music for 30 years and is striving to play Mozart perfectly.
Now, why is that? Let me ask someone who's been classically trained. You've probably played in orchestras before?
Yeah, of course.
A lot of things.
I still do.
Which one do you play in currently?
I don't play in like a set orchestra, but I take orchestra gigs once in a while. Like I'm actually doing an opera on August 5th at Thalia Hall.
Whoa.
At Puccini Opera.
That's so cool. If I'm in town, I'm coming.
I'll get you a ticket.
I would love that. As long as you whisper, no one can hear. You know it's recorded.
Hilarious.
I just made you laugh so hard your headphones flew off.
I did. Sure did.
That's so funny. So, why is it that such because I know musicians like this that you're mentioning. Why is it that such classically trained musicians who understand dexterity and timing and pitch so well have the hardest time making up their own song? Just anything. But most of them seem to only be able to sight read music really well and execute it.
Follow the page, yeah.
Follow the page. Do what they're told really well. Freakishly well. Extremely well.
Yeah.
But then you say, improvise here or try this, write a song and show me, and they freeze.
Yeah.
Why? What is that? Is it because they didn't train that part of their brain?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly right. This is just one woman's opinion, but I think that the main part that's missing in musical education is creativity. I think classical upbringing, I'm going to get a lot of heat from a lot of people for this.
Say it.
Classical upbringing kills creativity.
I agree with you.
It kills it. It destroys it up to the point that you grow up and you realize as an adult you have a choice. You know, as a kid, maybe if you're forced into playing your instrument like I was, you don't have a choice. But then you grow up and you have a choice. You can try things. No one's going to kill you if you do it wrong.
Why were you forced into playing an instrument?
Well,
or how?
Funny story. Not so funny.
Doesn't sound very funny.
Yeah. So I was 5 and my dad was really inspired to have me play an instrument. What do I mean by that? He was inspired to force me to start playing violin. Anyway, I started playing violin because that's what I was told to do.
But what if you didn't like it?
I didn't.
Right.
I hated it. I fucking hated it. It was so terrible. Everybody was like playing outside. Like I lived in a 5-story communist building, and
are they all communist buildings or just yours?
I think there are some modern buildings nowadays, but in the 90s, it was all communist leftovers.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will. Ooh, I am a communist leftover. My last name is Prohorova. That's as Russian as it gets.
Do you speak Russian?
Yeah, it's my main language.
Really?
Probably now English is my main language, but
so Russian, Romanian, and English. Anything else?
A little bit of Japanese, just a little tiny bit.
Right, because you love Japanese culture.
Yeah, I do.
Wonderful. We'll get to that too.
Yeah,
Let's get back to
Yeah.
this 5-year-old being told in
Yeah.
a communist apartment complex.
Yes, you must practice. Okay, just taking up my violin and
Yeah.
watching. I remember watching the kids out the window play in the playground and just crying crocodile style, like size tears. Just like bawling, just wanting to. Playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and wishing that I was outside really
that's
playing,
so tragic.
playing with my friends. At the same time, I have to say, as my adult logical self, there is so much value to my dad making me do what he did, getting me to go to the best musical school in Eastern Europe, because it's one of the best in Eastern Europe. It's the best in Moldova for sure.
For elementary, junior high, high school?
That's another very lucky thing. I went to the same school from grade 0 to 12. And it was the same, it was the same program for everybody. You would have one classroom full of kids who took the same classes. It wasn't like, in the US, you like pick your own classes and in high school and whatever based on what you think you will do in college. How the fuck are you supposed to know what you're going to do in college as a teen? That's ridiculous. But then in my case, I knew what I was going to do since I was 5, right? And so did everybody else in my class. Everybody plays an instrument. It was like my school had 300 kids.
Did you know what you were going to do, or did that forced compliance turn into, all right, I guess this is what I... When did you actually want to start doing it?
I can tell you the exact moment when.
Okay.
I went to see Aerosmith live.
Where?
At Tinley Park Stadium.
Oh, the Tweeter Center? Did you say Tinley Park Stadium?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's not the Tweeter Center. I don't know what it's called anymore.
I don't know.
Wait, when was this?
I was 20, so this was...
Wait, it took until you were 20 to realize you wanted to play?
Oh, yeah.
So
No. I kept playing just because, that's my education. I have to keep playing. I have to keep playing.
Yeah.
And that was, by the way, that was also my ticket out of Moldova. If I was doing anything else, I don't know how that would have worked out. But I knew for sure, I knew since 7th grade that I will not be living in Moldova. I knew I needed to get out.
Why did you feel that need to get out?
Lack of opportunity. A lack of appreciation for the arts, a lack of respect towards women. I don't know, the list can go on forever.
Yeah. So, what is the dynamic there as far as women and men in Moldova? I don't know anything about that.
Patriarchal. Definitely more patriarchal on paper than it is in real life, I think, because women tend to be the problem solvers more than men. I think, feminism is needed for both men and women. It's like, if you don't understand that, what's wrong with you? I feel sorry for people who don't understand that concept.
Can you elaborate on that?
On why feminism is needed for men?
I know what you're saying, but for the listeners.
Of course.
Can you elaborate?
I would love to.
Please do. We have a lot of things to get back to.
A lot.
But I am keeping track.
Okay. You're much better at this than me. I already forgot what I was saying 30 seconds ago. Okay. Why feminism is needed for men.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, because the whole concept behind how a woman is supposed to be and how a man is supposed to be is flawed, inherently flawed. It comes from thousands of years ago, and it's very outdated, and people want to listen to the Bible for some reason. That's a whole nother problem. We'll get into religion.
Orthodox Christianity?
Yeah, Orthodox Christianity. Yeah. Moldova being in its majority an Orthodox Christian country, it has some very deeply seated, ingrained cultural concepts, like a woman cannot go to church if she's on her period. Have you ever heard of that before?
I have not heard that in
Shit's insane.
America for Christianity, but I've heard that for I know that is the case for certain religions. I believe in Islam. If a woman is menstruating, she can't go to the mosque. I think.
Right.
Don't quote me on that.
Right.
I feel like I've heard that somewhere.
I feel like I've also heard that, and it's not unusual. Like that's how religions operate. So, anyways, being a religious country, Moldova has a lot of very, very outdated beliefs, and thus we have men suffering for lack of feminism. And what do I mean by that? It's men trying to be someone who they're not. And in majority cases, men trying to man up, if you will, is hurting them. Like, you're not allowed to have emotion. And women are labeled as emotional, and men are labeled as emotionless. Like, neither of those are right. Neither of those are humane. A human hopefully should, in the ideal scenario, feel free to be themselves and not try to fit some sort of picture of what a woman should be or a man should be. And men need feminism so that women can be who they are, thus enabling men to be who they are. And men don't need to support women. Women can support themselves. Like, we are so past that point. I don't understand how in 2021 there is still conversation about how women could possibly not be able to choose to have an abortion. This shit's insane.
Yeah.
In 2021, I would think that, like, by this point, human consciousness has evolved to the point that we don't need to discuss archaic shit like this.
Yeah, I mean, it has for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But certainly not for everyone.
Yeah.
There's a massive chunk of the population of this country and the world that goes back too far in their beliefs and not looking at modern day thoughts and concepts, especially understanding that there are some natural things that are, prominent in a female human being and a male human being.
Yeah.
But makeup, hair length, fashion, decision-making capabilities.
Yeah.
These are not those things.
Right.
As far as you have to have the baby,
right,
and a man has to
provide, right,
is not always how it is. But what is something that is a fact is you physically have to have the baby,
right,
and the man physically has to, produce semen, and that's how it works.
Right.
But other than that, which we all know that, but other than that, there's so many things where beyond that, it doesn't. We don't have to fall in these tropes and these constant thoughts of a woman has to look at X, Y, and Z. She has to wear makeup. I'm so not a fan of makeup and the hair doing and all of it. I can't. It's not my problem or my body, but I borderline can't stand it when people feel the need to do that. I feel bad for them. Like, why are you putting yourself through all that?
Right.
Time and money and effort and stress and anxiety. Like, I got to look this way. I got to do this. Why? Like, because men put that pressure on you? I certainly don't. I don't care what someone does with their body. But
I would like to challenge you, though, Ben.
Sure.
I used to have the exact same feeling about this as you just described. Why do I ever have to do anything with myself? Like, I'm okay just the way I am. Yes, you are okay just the way you are.
Yeah.
That is not wrong. That is like, you're very okay the way you are, yes. However, we live in a certain society, certain type of society. And this type of society appreciates certain things at certain times. So, for example, it would not be appropriate for me to go to a museum in gym shorts, I think. Like, I would not feel good about myself if I went to the theater wearing flip-flops.
But why not?
Because I think it's not appropriate.
But why is that not appropriate?
It's not okay. There is a question of what makes you feel good, right? If you sincerely don't give a shit about what anybody says or thinks, then please wear a fucking swimsuit to the theater. Like, who cares, Yeah. But if you feel that you would like to show, to me, this appropriacy that I'm talking about, I think it's a thing of respect. I think I would feel better about looking respectful towards the people who have been working for years to put something together in the theater. Like, theater is is a huge operation. Like majority of people have no idea what goes behind putting a spectacle together for humans to enjoy. Like it's so much work, and like I think that we could all try to show respect by shutting your phone when you go into the theater, not talking loudly, being considerate towards the people around you, and looking nice. Like, it's nice to look at someone who looks nice. You go to this theater, right?
But
Like,
the makeup thing, so clothes is one thing.
Right.
But makeup, like what's going on there? Like why do women put on makeup and men don't inherently?
Great question. And I've been thinking about this probably for 20 years.
Since you were 8?
Since I was 8. Like, I was like, I was baffled, I'm sorry, for this, by this concept. Why does my mom put makeup on? Why does my dad not do that? And why is there an expectation? There are so many nuances, I think, when it comes to this thing. The expectation, I think, is wrong, inherently wrong. But, again, it comes to the question to me of what makes you feel good. I know men now that put makeup on, and I think that's great. If that makes you feel good, like, dude, go for it. I love seeing it. I saw a bunch of guys wearing earrings the other day on the street. I was like, yeah,
The
cool.
biggest issue I have, though, is how do we know at our core, is it actually what makes you feel good, or is it actually you trying to fit that right expectation of a look?
That is when self-analysis comes in.
Because even to like, why is it every time you see a shredded guy, he has no hair on his body? Like, I'm a man. I know what men look like. Most men have hair. But why is it when someone's jacked and shredded in a movie or in a TV show, they don't have hair on their body?
That's so funny you say
Why
this. I
is
was
that?
just
They're clearly
talking-
waxing it off or shaving it off or doing something to it. But why?
But also, did you know it has a lot to do with like hormonal stuff? If you work out a lot, you have like you overproduce it. I was just talking about this with my husband the other day. He's like, I don't want to lose all of my hair, so I'm not gonna be jacked up. I'm like, honey, you do you. That's whatever you want.
I don't know how, like, I work
There
out
is a
every day and I
hormonal
am the
thing.
hairiest person I know.
But you don't overdo it. We're talking about like people who are bodybuilders.
Well, no, they I'm telling you, they wax. I'm telling you right now.
Sure.
They shave and wax a lot. Like, your hair doesn't just fall off because you work out. They're also doing weird stuff and probably hormones and testosterone.
I encourage you to look up the connection between baldness. I'm not talking about body hair. I'm talking about baldness particularly.
No, I'm talking about body hair.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about baldness.
Yeah.
No, male pattern baldness is 66% of men lose that. Like, that's pretty normal. Actually, most people lose their hair before they're old. You know, most men do.
Right.
Even women start to get thinner hair as they get as they age. But I'm talking body hair.
Yeah,
I'm talking
body
chest
hair, that's
arm
else.
hair. For some reason, if a guy is shredded in a movie, a TV show, a sport, there's no hair.
No hair.
So they're clearly getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And you know, women for some reason have this need, this push. I don't know if it's a need, but it's a push to put on makeup. And they will say every time I bring this up as much as I can because I like to learn. I want to hear what a woman actually says. I don't want to just have this conversation with guys. I want a woman to actually say it.
Yeah.
Who would know better, right?
Yeah.
But every time I bring it up, I always get the same response of like, well, I like it. It's like, are you sure you like it? Or have you just been wearing makeup for 25 years and you don't know any better because you've been told that your whole life? You watched it in TV shows and you watched your mom do it when you were a kid. How do you actually know you like it or don't like it when it's all you've ever known? I can say the same thing about myself. You know, how do I actually know I like having a beard and looking masculine?
Right.
You know, it's like, it's
Well,
tricky.
do you?
I do, but that thing is there's a big
Or
difference.
did society ingrain you with this belief?
It didn't, because this naturally occurs.
Right.
This just comes off of me.
Right.
Makeup does not naturally occur.
Right.
So there's an apple and orange
Cleopatra
conversation.
would argue with you.
That makeup naturally occurs. I think people look beautiful without makeup. I don't know. I don't understand the whole need for it, but
I can tell you I experimented with all of these beliefs before. I used to be very anti-hair, anti-makeup, anti-pretty clothes, anti-high heels, all of that. And I can tell you now that I do all of it.
at the same time.
At the same time. And that there's a major factor in it is that people treat you differently.
Oh, yeah.
People treat you differently.
Elaborate.
There's a huge difference. For example, I put myself together to come here today, right? If I came here looking like I got out of bed, you probably would subconsciously think like, what the fuck is she, like, did she just roll out of bed and come to the podcast? That's a little, maybe tiny bit like disrespectful or something.
You're talking to the wrong person. I don't care what anybody wears.
Right.
I care about what's in here and here.
Right.
Always. But I'm not a good example.
You're one guy, Ben.
I know.
You know,
I'm not a good example. Trust me.
If there were more people in society like you, then a lot of people would feel freer to do whatever the hell they actually feel and not what they think they need to do.
Yeah.
But in my personal experience, like, I have gone not shaving for years. I was like, screw this. This is patriarchal bullshit. This is not my idea anyway. Who made this up? And like, only through my own experience and experimenting with this, I realized I don't like having body hair. I don't like it. So I choose to wax it off.
Yeah.
You know, it's my personal choice. Yeah. And the difference between like, you know, doing it for yourself and versus doing it because you think you should do it is when you choose this for yourself and for yourself only, and you don't judge if anybody else doesn't choose that for herself.
Right.
You go, girl. Like, I see girls with hairy pits all the time. I'm like, okay, cool. I have nothing against it. Neither do I have anything against like women who choose to do Botox and any other cosmetological things. I think both have a right to exist.
Yeah.
But the difference is, I mean, the point is, I think, is to know what you want. Yeah. And I know what I want because I experimented with all of it.
That's a good thing. That's really good that you experimented. You tried it, at least, you know. And
I tried no makeup, no anything, doing nothing to myself, you know, for years. And that was college.
It's always college. There's always that era when you're like, I'm going to try something new.
Yeah, exactly.
I did the same thing, but as far as men are considered, I didn't shave my face, my hair. I didn't cut my hair. I was not hygienic at all. I didn't wear deodorant. I barely took showers. I didn't comb my beard. I was a hot mess. I looked terrible. But I was 20, 22.
Right. That's the time to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I look back on that era and those photos, and I'm like, glad I did it then. Yeah. I'm not doing that now.
Exactly. It's not like in the professional world, there are expectations, whether we like it or not. Like, I get hired for gigs not only because of the way I play, but also because of the way I look. I would be a fool not to consider these aspects. It's very important. Like, I used to work in the theater. I played in a show called Teatro ZinZanni. It's going to open in a few days at Randolph Street Theater District. And I was the only violinist and the only woman in the band. And I wore a velvet tight dress every night and high heels, and I wore makeup and beautiful earrings, etc. I felt amazing doing it. Nobody forced me to. I could have worn a simple black dress. But I chose to wear something extravagant because it fit the place. It's a dinner theater in a beautiful Spiegel tent with stained glass and velvet curtains and all the fancy schmancy stuff, like music from the 1920s and through 50s and with a twist of modern. There's room for that. There's room for beauty in the world. I sincerely believe in beauty, no matter how ridiculous this sounds. Like, it's so, like, beauty can save the world. I think if people were more open to enjoying aesthetics in life, people could benefit a lot from that. Like, I have as of lately, I have an obsession with antiques, and my poor husband just has to go to all the antique stores with me, and I think he actually enjoys it too. But maybe he learned to enjoy it. Nonetheless, I love transforming my apartment into a museum-like space because I can tell you from personal experience that it makes the world's difference between waking up in a shitty student apartment and looking at the wall and looking at that crack and, you know, cursing the landlord in your head, thinking, when the hell is she gonna fix it? Real story. Never fixed it. And then, you know, being an adult who shapes her own place in your own aesthetics, and waking up and enjoying the view of a vase with beautiful fresh flowers. Like, that automatically gives me a boost of happy thoughts and energy in the morning. You know? Like,
I do.
There's a big difference.
I do.
Yeah.
That's how I treat my home too. You know?
Yeah. Your home looks very nice, by the way.
Thank you.
Super nice. Yeah.
Thanks. It's fun.
Yeah.
There's stuff everywhere.
I can tell you put thought behind where you put your stuff.
It took me forever.
Yeah.
I spent weeks just because I have a lot of artwork everywhere, and I'm grateful for it. But it's all been given to
Piling
me
up.
for years. For years and years and years, I've been the person in the home to take things. Like, nobody wants to give me something. So even this artwork behind us right here was given to me. That was like, it's everywhere. And I love it, but at a certain point, like, I don't know what to do with it. I run out of it. How do you properly put it into the right place where it looks well with your eye? And guests who come in, a lot of bands and artists and people come in like yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to appease everybody.
Right.
And it took me forever. Once I repainted the house this past year, the artwork was just everywhere on the ground, and I was just trying to figure out where to put it and map it out. And I have such a hard time. I always want to be more of a minimalist. As you can see, my house is nothing like that. And I can never get there because I have so many things that are beautiful. All this awesome artwork and different stories, a lot of family artwork, and I never know what to do with it. And I love having it up and telling stories about it and where it came from and who made it. And I do find beauty in that. I find it also in clothes. I love patterns and styles and colors a lot. I even like your onesie. What are those called again?
It's a jumpsuit. It's my Talking Heads jumpsuit.
That's
Do I
cool.
look like I'm a member of Talking Heads?
Yeah, I'd say.
Thank
I
you.
thought so. I was like,
Thank
you play
That's
violin
what I was
for
going
the
for.
Talking Heads.
Thank you.
No, it's really cool.
Playing one note per song. Da, 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 da.
You love rock, though, don't you?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I
How
love
many
it.
rock bands have you been in? Or are you currently in?
So, after I saw Aerosmith,
Oh, yeah, we didn't
right.
that story. So you're 20 years old.
that was like
Tinley Park.
the breaking moment of my life.
Okay.
Yeah, 20 years old, Tinley Park. I went with a friend. I found out like the day before that Aerosmith is playing, and that was the period of my life when I was like, this, okay, tomorrow, okay, go do it. And now it's like, it would require so much planning, you know. But that was the period of my life when I was like, okay, go do this. Okay.
Very spontaneous.
Very spontaneous, exactly. And so I went and saw Aerosmith, and it blew my mind so hard that like 10,000 people are all in the same place having the time of their lives. Just having an like, the energy was incredible. Steven Tyler fucking just blew my mind so hard. Like, I have seen rock shows on video. It's not the same, man. It's not nearly the same. If you see like a real live rock star who can work the stage, and there's not like a whole lot of them. There's a good number of really, really good frontmen and women. But Steven Tyler was just, I don't know, godly, you know? And that's when I realized I have to do something other than classical music. I have to play in a band. Universe has a magical way of working around everybody. And the thoughts that, you know, I'm a believer in the law of attraction. Whatever you put out in the world is what you get.
Absolutely.
You know, if you have shitty thoughts, guess what? You're gonna get a bunch of shit. So, luckily, I saw Aerosmith. I had this burning passion and like this desire to play in a band, and someone reached out to me. Someone who is now a good friend of mine, Elliot, reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we're looking for a violinist to play in this Romanian rock band called Peeve." Shout out to all my pet peevers. I don't know if this will make it, but hopefully. So I started playing in a Romanian rock band and in a country cover band. And both of those things kicked my ass. Because a classical good girl violinist, you know, who wanting to do everything right all the time, which is ingrained into my character. It's a blessing and a curse, really. Just like perfect pitch is a blessing and a curse. Like nobody asked you for it. Why?
How do you know you have perfect pitch?
I knew since I was 5. Somebody played a note on the piano and I was like, re. And
is that
D? Yeah. It was at a summer camp, and the music teacher at the summer camp was like, "Did you just say re?" And then she played another note, and she's like, "What is this note?" And I'm like, "La, you have perfect pitch."
How did you know what letter to say? What note to say?
I took up solfege when I was 5, so prep grade 0 at my music school. I started taking violin.
You had a little bit of experience
and solfege
with those words, and you knew how to associate them with that pitch.
Yeah, the words and the pitch got the immediate
That's
association.
very rare, by the way.
Like 1 in what? 1 in 1,000?
It's very rare.
I don't know.
I don't know if I've ever met someone who got perfect pitch.
Really?
Well, you're in a world where that's more common.
Right, yeah.
If you're in classical music, you're going to find, if not perfect pitch, really close to it or really good relative pitch.
Relative pitch, by the way, is much more useful than perfect pitch. It's so much more
I'm assuming both would be great, but perfect pitch seems like it's annoying and hindrance to your mentality.
Exactly.
You know, like it is to you.
Yeah. You know, you have the ambulance passing by and you go, C sharp A, C sharp A, C sharp. Like, nobody needs that.
I'm much more in the world of relative pitch.
It's much more useful.
It is very useful. When I hear a song, I could usually figure out what pitch it is just by knowing how to make an A. Knowing that my lawnmower, you know, is an A sharp, you know, or an A flat. Sorry.
Very useful information.
Most machinery is an A flat. HV or HVACs are usually A flats. How I know this? One day I was writing a song in A flat, and I was like, "This is."
It sounds awfully familiar.
Everything sounds nice. Everything like the machinery sounds like it's in key.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's interesting. So, perfect pitch. Now once you go to a rock band, perfect pitch kind of goes out the window because it's rock.
Absolutely.
And things are only hovering around being in key together.
Right.
But they're never truly in key together.
Right.
And mostly due to the intonation of frets.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, on a fretless instrument, for those who, I mean, you know this, but for those listening, having a good ear and ear training, you can find that pitch much more easily and fluently because you don't have a fret stopping you.
Yeah.
Whereas set frets on a guitar or electric bass, electric guitar, acoustic, keep you confined to that pitch, and they're not going to be perfect across the board from the nut to the bridge. There should be a natural slope of the degrees changing of the frets, but they're straight. So inherently, you're going to be out of pitch in certain spots.
Yeah.
And because of that, over time and playing with bands, you're going to have to accept that there's going to be a weird nuance hovering of key, and it's never going to actually be together. Whereas you get much more continuity and control in upright bass, a cello, a viola, and a violin.
Yeah.
With classically trained people who know how to get to that spot and know how to build up a chord on each other, you know. So did I explain that well? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. Absolutely. Absolutely. I approve.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So how did that affect you, having such training and this amazing ear and brain to understand pitch? And then you go into a country cover band, and then a Romanian band.
Romanian rock band,
Romanian rock
Carpathian specifically. Because our singer-songwriter was from the Carpathian Mountains in Romania.
Sounds like where Dracula's from.
Pretty much. He's very Dracula-ish. I'm just kidding. No, he's not. He's a really cool guy. Love you, Lorian. So... At first, I realized I can't improvise for shit. That was number one realization. I'm like, what? How
is that possible?
Work?
If you know the key, how do you not just, I'm going to bounce around all 8 notes in the key to keep it simple?
Right. And I did that. I mean, you can. Okay, let me explain what I mean by this. This is the very self-critical classical musician in me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, improvisation is fluid. Good improvisation. Bad improvisation is when you just play the notes because you don't know how to do it. You hear the key, you play the notes. It doesn't sound that great because you don't have the flow.
I see what you're saying. That creative flow. That
Yeah,
in the moment
it's
spark.
Forced.
Yeah.
It's forced.
Yeah.
Forced improvisation is shitty improvisation.
Yeah.
Let's be frank,
I see what
without
you're saying.
changing our names. Sorry.
That was good. That was good. I like that.
Love me a good pun.
Yeah.
So I realized couldn't improvise. So I listened to, but you know, I was lucky that I was into jazz music since an early age. So I would listen to Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong and Liza Minnelli when I was back in Moldova. And I found it very inspirational. And so I was familiar with the sound of improvisation, but I couldn't replicate it. So it just takes practice. Just like with everything. You just have to do it. Stop thinking about it. To all of you listeners out there, seriously, whatever you have been thinking about in your head,
Anything at all.
anything at all that you've been wanting to try, but for some reason haven't done it yet, do it.
What would that be for you if you could take your own advice?
I periodically, believe it or not, take my own advice.
Me too.
And it's good, right?
There's only one thing. Like, if I could take your advice, it's I want to learn another language, and read another language, read more, and meditate more. Those are three things that I'm doing. Those three things right now, but I'm not doing the best job of them.
Right.
But I want to hone in more.
Up the idea of doing the best job on it.
Yeah.
I swear to God, this
Yeah.
is what fucked me for many years. I'm like, if I do this, I have to do this correctly. No, you don't. You just have to do it.
You're right.
You don't have to do it a certain way. You just have to do it.
Right. It's just another. There are extra things to add to the, plethora of other things to be doing.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, whenever I hear people say like, "Oh, I'm too busy for this. I'm too busy for that," I don't buy it for a second.
I don't either.
Yeah, if you're busy, you just didn't prioritize it.
We all know
It's
what
a
that means.
exactly.
These days. It means
Yeah.
you're on this. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Too much. of it.
Exactly. Yeah. You're scrolling on your phone for too long. So
YouTube,
instead of
Instagram, Facebook, Netflix.
instead of waking up and scrolling Instagram for an hour, try spending that hour doing something else. So I did take my own advice. A couple of years ago, I instilled a regimen upon myself to wake up at 6 in the morning and do yoga. It was fucking fantastic.
That's awesome.
It was so great.
That's another thing. Yoga. That's what I forgot to
Right.
mention. Yoga's another one.
I have been very easy on myself with yoga. This is the advice that I will take. My own advice that I will take.
Yeah.
I have been planning it for too long. I'm gonna stop thinking about it and just do it because it sucks to just think about it.
Do you still do it?
No, not these days.
No.
Yeah.
Do you still wake up early?
I wake up earlier than before. When I worked in the theater, I would wake up 10 at the very earliest because I would come home at 11, 12.
Yeah.
And it would take time. You
Takes
can
time
go,
to wind down.
Yeah, you can't go to bed after you play the show and it had 300 people clapping at you amazingly. Like it feels so good and it's also very energizing. And it's not conducive to when you're trying to go to bed.
No. What about now? What time do you get up now?
Now I get up around 8 the latest, I would say. Because I also do immigration law.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I work
downtown.
I work in the office doing immigration law with my husband, my parents-in-law, and my brother-in-law. We all work together.
Wow. So you pretty much work with his whole family.
Yeah. They're really cool people.
Okay. I was going to say, that could be either great or awful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's pretty great. Yeah.
Pretty great. That's cool. That's an interesting... How did you get from playing in the orchestra, doing theater work, to that? Like, how did that happen?
Well, meeting my husband was a major thing. He also is a violinist. He played in the two bands that I mentioned before.
That's how you met him.
He played in Peeve, in the Romanian rock band, and he played in the other cover band.
Is he Romanian?
No, he's Chicago born and raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then he was in law school when I met him. So he was almost an attorney. And I just started, he's like, you want to come to the office and help me do some things? And what am I going to do? Say no? Of course I'm going to go help him with some things. So I went and did some like very tedious paperwork that I enjoyed doing. Like, it was weird. I was like, huh?
That's a classically trained musician mindset.
I think that, oh my God, that is true.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way.
That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Yeah. You blew my mind on multiple occasions already. With the accent thing, that is, yeah, the intimidating aspect of my persona. And then this, yeah, it is, I think it is the classical musician in me. I genuinely enjoy organizing things. Like, I'm very, very good at putting shit together and getting shit done.
Yeah.
You know? Like, if I have a bunch of files on my desk with a bunch of tasks to do, I want to do them ASAP. I really do not like putting things off. And I am prone to that. Like, it's a part of my character to just want to be like, oh, later. But no, I force myself to do it here and in the now, you know? Mm-hmm. And it helps. Like, it helps so much.
Even that's a practice.
Absolutely, it is a practice.
To not procrastinate and just keep the wheel spinning.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I try to do that. When you are self-reliant for your work, such as like keeping it with practice.
Yeah.
And keeping up with anything you have to do to book shows or events and do that part of being a musician. It helps to just have that strict regimen. Otherwise, you can kind of unwind and fall apart.
Yeah.
It's very different from when you go to a job and they have times and they have the tasks and they just send it, they give it to you and you just accomplish them and then you get to detach.
Right.
When it's all on you, it's a completely different ballgame.
It's very much like having an orchestra job. It's very much like an office job.
Interesting.
You
How
know?
so? Can you elaborate?
You go to the workplace. You don't choose the music you're going to play.
Yeah.
You are given the music that you are going to play.
Yeah.
You better learn it perfectly because you will get fired if you're playing I don't know, a CSO or another major orchestra. Unless you have tenure, then it's really difficult to get fired. But if you're in the trial period, you have to stay on top of your game.
Have you ever performed in an orchestra at that level?
No. I gave up that idea when I saw Aerosmith. That was what I thought I needed to do just because everybody around me was doing that. And I was like, well, I guess I should get it going on my orchestra excerpts and start practicing them. Little did I know that that's the last thing I truly wanted to do. Huh. If you start asking yourself, like really honestly, being honest with yourself, not bullshitting yourself, like all of us are so good at that. We are so good at bullshitting ourselves.
Yeah. Oh my God. You're really trying to tell me something.
Honestly, it just comes from self-observance of years of, like really watching, like what is the thought pattern in my head right now? Mm-hmm. Am I just making this shit up or is this reality? And majority of the stuff that we make up in our mind, we literally make up. Yeah. We make it up. It's not real.
It's not real. Happens every day to me,
But at least if you're like able to identify that and stop it, like you have mastered yourself. Good job. So I have been working on it very hard, differentiating, did I put this idea in there or was it there from somewhere else? Children are literally like sponges sucking up everything that is around them, adults being shitty, adults being nice. It doesn't matter. Like all the circumstances around you as a child, the brain makes patterns using the people and the circumstances around the child. And in general, like making patterns out of the surroundings. And then you grow up and you just repeat those patterns with new people in your life. You have your boss who triggers a daddy issue in your mind, and then you're dealing with that. You, instead of being here in the now, you are kind of reacting on a pattern that has been there and you're not aware of it because that's, you know how some people can be so triggering and you have no idea why.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just beside myself and baffled at what they just said.
Mm-hmm.
And reality is you're most likely triggered to feel something that you felt when you were a child. And then you're left dealing with that instead of dealing with the person that was there and now, you know. I see it everywhere all the time. Like people getting defensive and like so easily offended at things that are like, no, they're not meant to offend you. Like nobody is trying to offend you. You're just,
Right.
you know, that's why I think like an adult's primary job, primary task of every adult in this society, in this universe, is to figure themselves out. You have to figure out your patterns if you want to achieve any. If you want to like not suffer,
Yeah.
you know. If
You have to find yourself from within first and foremost.
absolutely,
You have to know who you are
yeah,
the best you can, and that's ever evolving. I mean, it's going to take you
absolutely,
your lifetime to figure it out, but it's important to try to do so
yeah,
and learn from the other people around you, kids,
absolutely,
adults.
absolutely,
You have to, and what you're saying is absolutely correct. I try that as much as I can. You know, we're flawed, and
Yeah,
I have the ups and
everybody.
downs with that.
sure.
Definitely overlooking and overthinking things.
Oh, yeah, chronic overthinker here.
Yeah,
like
me
I
too.
can overthink. Like I send a text and I'm like, did I
Yeah.
freak this person out?
Yeah.
Am I okay? Like
Yeah.
you're okay. You're not in danger. A bear is not gonna come
Yeah.
hunt you down
But
right
isn't
now.
do you think that's why we do that? Because there is nothing going on in our lives, so our anxiety is through the roof.
Through the roof, right?
Because there is no bear hunting you down. There is no
Right.
tribe going after you. There is
Right.
no one invading Moldova
Right.
like they used to.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
So you're kind of like, well, I have to do something. That's where working out, yoga,
Yeah,
getting like
dealing with it.
dispensing that energy.
Literally dealing with it physically, doing
Yeah.
something to dispense it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Taking, like, how many people forget how to breathe? Like, how many people do you see sometimes who are, like, just talking for 30 minutes straight on one breath?
yeah.
Like, how...
Or breathing only out of their mouth,
Right.
not their nose.
Yeah. Breathing is, like, probably the central most important thing to keeping your cool.
Mm-hmm. Do you do any breathing techniques to keep your cool?
I love the Kundalini Yoga fire breath.
What's that?
When you pump your belly as you exhale, you do.
I'm not gonna lie, the way you're looking right now, you look scary.
Super intense.
With that
it's like
pumping?
so intense. It's
Wait,
very intense.
So you're breathing out and you go. I don't know if I could do that right.
It's like it's a little pump in your belly, and you breathe in sharply and you exhale sharply. And it gets even more intense
I'm gonna get freaked out.
Yeah, Kundalini Yoga is my favorite.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you do that while you're doing different poses?
Yeah, you can do it in different poses. It like intensifies the effect of a pose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because, contrary to what most, what do I mean? Contrary to what most yogi and energy workers, etc., think about how like humans don't have enough energy at our hearts. Like our hearts, if you just open your heart and all that, like I'm pretty much gonna tell you straight up that that's bullshit. Because it's not the problem that we don't have enough. The problem is not that we don't have enough energy at our hearts. The problem is that modern day society, where you scroll endlessly and are constantly bombarded with advertisements at every turn you make on the street, the problem is that your energy is concentrated right here. Like majority of people live in their head.
Yeah.
And majority of stories we tell ourselves, as I said previously, are not true. are completely made up. So you end up putting all of your energy here around your third eye. And then what happens is that you're somewhere in La La Land, aka not in reality. So I love Kundalini fire breath because you get to cultivate the energy at your navel. And that is what we're missing. We're missing the balanced energy that is dispersed throughout our body in a balanced way, which means we are missing energy at our navel. If all of it is here in your third eye, then none of it is down there. And then you are not a grounded human being capable of making decisions that are rational, you know? Mm-hmm. So you're like imagining all sorts of shit, telling yourself stories about things that may never happen in real life. And then instead of feeling grounded and like, I've experienced this in directed meditations. I like to do, I am an admirer of the Wiccan traditions, like Wicca, witchcraft, but it's not really witchcraft. Like, it's just oneness with nature, if you will. You know, it's called the cycle. Like the cycle of the year or something. I don't know. I do it in Russian. It's called Колесо года, which is like the wheel of the year or something like that. And then in the wheel is the solstice, the equinox, like the nature important dates on the calendar. And then so we do directed meditations with a little group online that I found. And where was I going with this? Wicca. Oh, I experienced what it means to not be here in your head in the directed meditations. Like the deeper breaths I took, the deeper I could sink. Like I could literally feel my sense of self going from my head, lowering, like slowly lowering throughout the meditation. And the deeper I felt myself in the body, like if I could get to the navel point, then I could literally connect to source. It was a crazy experience.
How long did it take to do that, to get to that?
A couple of meditations. I definitely...
Like how many hours or minutes?
Oh, well, our meditations are about 20 to 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And if your level of concentration is good, then you can get to the place like almost instantaneously. Mm. But so my first meditation was like... very strange. I couldn't understand what am I supposed to do. Like, what now? What am I supposed to... Am I doing this right? Like the one question that's going to kill the vibe. Am I doing this right? It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it wrong. You're not doing it right. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
And when you think from that perspective, then you can actually allow for your energy to do what it needs to do, the deeper it sinks into the body, the deeper you can feel yourself. Like you can get to self by lowering the energy from your head into the lower parts of your body. Mm-hmm. So I love yoga and all that. So
what you're saying is, I've heard this from a lot of people, and that's why I've always wanted to try yoga. And meditation, I've done enough to know where to go with that. I want to do it longer. Mm-hmm. You know, I always do like 5-10 minutes. I want to start getting into longer durations. But yoga and Pilates are definitely on the docket for things I need to and want to and will start doing. Yeah, it's something I almost want to... I do so many of these things alone. That's something I want to try with somebody. You know,
it helps. Yeah, it really helps if you're not alone.
Because I work out alone. I mean, I go on walks with friends every day, but I work out alone. I work all day alone. I listen to a lot of music alone. I read alone. All these things are alone, and it's like I want to do certain things with people. I don't know why. Right. Just to have... It's like why going on a hike with friends is fun. Right. Like you're suffering together in the heat for 5 miles in the forest, you know, and it's like you're sharing it together. Right. And that's what makes it fun. Yeah. But that's very fascinating. And do you have any attachment to any religion, or is this something you just do on your own, separate from that type of ideology, and it's more of an inward just like a meditative thing to just focus on yourself and maybe to suppress or diffuse, maybe not suppress, diffuse
yeah.
ego. You know, and kind of find yourself from within and have a clearer mind. The anxiety, the frustration with, you know, I didn't play that well, or I didn't perform that well.
Remembering something from 20 years ago, you know, like the one note I messed up on stage in front of 100 people. Nobody remembers this but you.
Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah.
We are very hard on ourselves.
Very.
All humans are.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think there is a way to work with that instead of letting it destroy you. I don't necessarily believe in you should stop being hard on yourself. No. Don't stop being hard on yourself, but also don't destroy yourself with being hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Be hard on yourself when it's appropriate to be hard on yourself. If you're trying to accomplish something and you're like, this will do, then you should probably be harder on yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I very much dislike the half-assed anything. Like, I cannot. With the mediocrity, I just cannot.
Yeah. I try not to. It happens. Where I am is I try not to do it, but if it does happen as an end result, I learn to accept it and try to learn to make that happen less often in the future.
Exactly.
You know?
So you don't accept it. If you were to accept it, means you would be okay repeating that.
Oh no, I try not to. I've made many mistakes, and I will.
Everybody.
I do. See, I've learned to accept the mistakes. I try not to ever repeat them. Always learn from them.
Exactly. And that's a very, very healthy way, an adult way to dealing with work or really with anything.
I'm glad I'm an adult now. It took me a long time.
All right, I'm still learning.
That's such a weird transition from like kid, teenager, college student, young adult. Then like you're in your late 20s phase. I'm in my early 30s phase, and now things are really. The expectations are very stressful now at 31, you know, because you're 28, 27?
28, yes. Sorry.
28.
I forgot for a second.
Right. So we're 3 years apart. And, I mean, that's not that much, but I don't know, something about, like, these arbitrary numbers if you're 30s, you know, and it's just, the expectations are weird.
I have a question for you. Whose expectations?
The ones that you put for yourself.
Oh, okay. That's different.
Obviously, there are societal ones.
Yeah.
Just like everyone feels them.
Right.
It's
do you feel pressure to do societalized things?
I don't feel it. Like, I don't feel it at my core. I don't feel it very naturally. Obviously, I'm doing what I'm doing, and you've seen my home and the way I live. So it's like I'm clearly not doing it fully, but I'm a human being. You know, I still feel it. I still have family. I still have people I care about that have things to say to me, or a judgment, or a passive-aggressive statement. And that still affects you, regardless of how bulletproof you can be. And I'm pretty bulletproof, to be honest, when it comes to those things. Because, you know, when you just choose a life that's not as, you know, the beaten path, you get a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah.
And I have
of course.
for a long time.
Right.
You know.
And you know what? This is fascinating. I was thinking about this last night. About how I think that being an adult in its majority is accepting the fact that you are, in fact, alone in your goals. Yeah. You have your own path, and you are alone on your path, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's everything right with that, because then you are the only person responsible for what you do, how you do it, when you do it. You get to choose
everything.
You know?
And the beauty of life is if you can, in a healthy manner, in a fun manner, in a productive manner, share those paths, those goals with friends, family, you know, a lover, a partner. That's what makes things great. It's not relying on someone else.
No. It's the cherry on top, if you will.
Cherry on top.
You know, it's not like a must, a given. No, you're
it's
not.
It's an unhealthy way to live as an adult to
Very.
Need someone else to be there, to need that person to give you affirmation and always
validation.
Validation, like it's good. It's like that's what goes on when you're a kid. That's what your mom and dad and siblings are for when you're 5.
Exactly.
You actually do need them. It's important that they're on. But at 31, the most important things to me are people that are doing productive and fun and unique and challenging things.
Yeah.
Overcoming things, other adults, and most importantly, people you're with, your partner,
Yeah.
your husband, your wife, your lover,
Yeah.
seeing them thrive and doing their thing and knowing that you just want to be there to support
Yeah.
and not be so attached that that's all you like obsess over.
Right.
Without them, you can't accomplish anything. It's not healthy. People find themselves in those situations. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to do it with friends. Even if you take away intimacy and romance, if you're just doing that
Yeah.
with a friend where like you're a part of your group of friends, and if they're not with you, if you're not doing something with them, then you feel like you're not being successful, you feel bad.
Right.
It's dangerous.
Right. It is dangerous. That is why the sooner you accept that you are alone on your path to whatever goals you have.
Yeah.
And like, I encourage everybody, please put the craziest goals in front of you.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's the funnest.
What's your craziest goals?
So
Give me some of your craziest goals.
Okay. All right.
Well, how about this? Before you say them, what are a few that were crazy maybe 10 years ago that you accomplished? And then maybe there's some that you didn't, if there's any at all.
Playing any type of music other than classical.
That was a goal.
Oh, yeah.
At the Aerosmith concert.
Yeah.
And you achieved that.
I did.
That's awesome.
Sure did. I loved playing in bands. I still love playing in bands. COVID killed most of it. It was
Absolutely
very sad. But except in your house, you guys got to... Well, how many records did you make during COVID?
We're working on 3.
Show off.
Well,
I love it.
Well, there's nothing else to do.
Of course.
And you're in a house full of music and
musicians.
and microphones and the ability to capture it all. Like, why not?
You know what? I saw that the house next door is for sale.
Are you buying it?
I might.
You should.
I mean...
You should go buy right now. You brought your wallet with you.
I think I did. Let me check my credit score. Goals. I recently started making jewelry. It was my COVID project. Yes. Really? I love jewelry. I love beauty. I love, I love beautiful things, and I love creating beautiful things. Like the ones I'm wearing right now, I made them.
So from other parts, or are you talking like forging metal?
I'm not forging metal. I am a jewelry...
You're not forging metal in your apartment?
No. I do. One of my closest friends, Katie, she actually inspired me to pick up jewelry and she doesn't even know it. Katie, you don't know this, but I love you. She made this ring. It's my witchy ring.
How did she make it?
She is a metalsmithing, like full on.
So I could hire her to make jewelry from scratch.
Totally.
Metal.
From scratch metal.
Wow, that's cool.
Yes, she's wonderful and very creative and like just so nice. And she's an amazing clarinet player and singer-songwriter. Like, that woman is incredible. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So she inspired me to do wire working. And so I work with wire. I find parts that I find beautiful, and I put jewelry together. Like, I make the jewelry out of parts, and I make gemstone jewelry and Swarovski crystal jewelry. So... And at first, I was like, I'm not going to put pressure on myself to do anything with this. This is just my creative outlet since, there was no musical creative outlet. I needed to do something with myself during COVID. So I picked that up. And, everybody's like, are you going to start an Etsy store? And I'm like, probably not. Please don't tell me what I should do with my jewelry. Thank you very much. And then the more jewelry I made, the more I realized that I would, in fact, like to sell it, And so I started selling a little bit on Instagram. Like, a friend of mine bought like 11 pairs before Christmas or something like that. And like, it's so enjoyable to me. I love the process of creation. I see the parts, I see the stone, and like I immediately get a picture in my head. Like, it's instantaneous. I know what I need to make. And until I make that piece, I don't have peace in my mind. I need to get it out of my mind to move on.
You find it very therapeutic.
Very therapeutic.
That's cool.
To the point that I can sit down at 10 p.m. and not realize at my jewelry stand and not realize that it's already 4 a.m. Like I just sit down and I start making things, and like it's endless.
I miss that feeling. I get it from a few things, but that's really cool.
So my goal is, like, I started an Instagram page for my jewelry. It's called Oli Moly Designs. That's my brand name.
That's an awesome name.
Thank you.
Holy
So my crazy goal is to have, you know, a steady following of clientele that appreciates my aesthetic, who like will come to me with I'm really good at seeing an outfit and like designing in my head a pair of earrings and necklace and a bracelet to go with the outfit. Like I see the picture in my head. And that would be my goal, to have people come to me with like, I need to go to this event. I bought this dress, and then I'm like, on it, got it. I know what gemstones I'm gonna use. I know what metal I'm gonna use. Like all of it.
So you've been
just comes to me.
Is that something you want to get into, being a smith?
Metal smithing?
Yeah.
I am so pedantic when it comes to some things that I think I would not be able to half-ass it. Like my friend, she is so serious about it, because she's also a classically trained musician, and she's like, she will not half-ass it. She makes awesome jewelry, and it would require like some serious training and time to put into it. So right now, my level of interest for metal smithing is not high enough for me to put the time and energy into it.
So you mostly make jewelry. In what way? Like, how did you make that?
No, this is my wedding ring. It's a vintage.
Right side.
Yeah, because I play. I take this off when I play.
May I see that?
Yeah.
It looks vintage.
This is Mark and I got this in Berlin.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's from the 70s, made in England, and the stone is aquamarine.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on diamonds? I've been having this conversation a lot more with guys, because I'm at that age.
Right.
You know,
my thoughts on diamonds. I think many people will not like to hear this, but I think diamonds are the most boring stone out there. If they're white.
I thought you were gonna say the opposite.
No, if they're like a typical white diamond, like I'm so not interested.
No. I am so not interested in diamonds and traditional jewelry.
Right.
I love what you're doing. I love when people make their own things.
Right.
Obviously, that's all I do.
Yeah.
And I admire that about people who can go above and beyond that. That idea of what's pushed on you by these jewelry stores, these Zales, and diamonds are forever.
But guess what? Other stones are forever too if you take care of them.
Well, nothing is forever. Which would be my jewelry store slogan.
Yeah, by the way, it's so true. Nothing's
forever, so spend $50 here, please.
Yeah.
I just can't get behind it, the price of it. What it represents to me personally is a man or a woman. What it represents to me is, first and foremost, as a person who isn't passionate enough or creative enough to conjure up a better concept of their love for someone. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. Mm-hmm. And then there's the whole secondary thing of like these poor kids mining it in Africa, and God only knows what they go through to give you that diamond that they get nothing for, and then you spend $10,000 on it.
Right. The trading of the whole thing is completely unfair.
But what it represents to me is the opposite of love. And it's not even coming from a place of like, how do I afford that? It's like I could sell stuff and go buy it. I could sell guitars and go buy this diamond.
Course. Yeah.
It's not about that. What does that mean to that person? I rather, design something or find parts and create it and maybe pay like a friend, like your friend to make it. Just things like that, like a custom thing, something that is more meaningful. Maybe has a really fun personal quote on the inside, like just anything. But I went to the store, picked out the diamond, and like, by the way, the man spent a fortune on it, and what did the woman do? Because if we're gonna play that game, she clearly owes the man now something, right? Because why does he have to do that and she doesn't? If we're equal, which we are, I believe,
Right.
then why is it unbalanced in the whole part of the engagement?
Well, the woman is expected to like serve him for the rest of her life,
Well,
right? Supposedly.
That's the thing. Is like not anymore. You're not. Yet it's still expected for the man to do that act, which
I
is
do
strange.
think it's expected less, though, of the men to do that.
I don't know
think
anybody who
that
hasn't done it. Do you know a woman who's proposed to a man? I don't know anybody.
I do. I know two women who proposed to their men.
So you know 2. I know none. Let's think about those numbers.
Yeah.
That's not a good stat.
No, of
you
course
know?
not. Of course not.
That's like, it's 1 in 1,000. It's not a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something I battle with that all the time. It's hard to talk about it with some people. Some people get very upset or offended or weirded out by it.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, it's not about you. Stop taking things personally.
Well, it's a conversation that should be had.
Yeah.
Because it represents something. If you're the one spending that time and money on the ring and then getting on your knee and doing that act, like, what is the other person doing? If it's supposed to be a partnership where you split things, you figure out life together, you're a team, then why is that automatically starting off like not balanced?
So in the good olden days, you would get a ring and go ask for the woman's hand from her father.
Yeah,
so it's like
permission,
you're buying property almost, right? Almost. Like, let's be real.
That's what it feels
just
like.
that.
Yeah.
It's just like that. And then, but now, you don't start off with that. You don't start off with a marriage proposal. You can live with someone for 10 years, 20 years, and never get married, and it's okay. But I do think the expectation, what you're saying makes sense, that there's still the expectation from men to get the big ring and whatever, like your success measures to the size of the diamond. Like, that's horse shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what matters is talking to your partner and figuring out what she wants and letting her know what you want. Because, like, Mark and I went to the store and bought this ring together to commemorate our trip to Berlin. My sister was there. She was like part of the process. It was the cutest thing. Like, the ring is meaningful because someone wore it before me. I love to make up stories in my mind about like the woman who wore it before me. Like, what was she like?
Yeah.
What was she wearing? Did a man give her this ring? Did her daddy buy her this ring? Like, there's so much creativity to have around this subject. I think people can just drop the formalities, you know, or if you like the formalities, like, do the formalities, you know, just like with makeup and hair. Like, if you feel better about yourself by doing makeup and hair, like, do it. Don't listen to somebody telling you that you are, that you should look, that you should love yourself, not should love yourself, but that you should be okay only with the way you look and do nothing to yourself. You should be able to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And that includes, you know, if you want to give your woman a $50,000 ring, like, go fucking do it.
If she
and
even
if
wants
you
it.
don't want to, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's pretty simple in my mind. I think
It is. I want to know what people feel like at their core about it. Like,
right.
if you want there to be, if we want equality, then there needs to be more of that discussion of that expectation of like, well, then why does the man have to spend all this money?
You
Why-
don't have to.
Yeah, but they feel so obligated to.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, until a lot of women get bent out of shape about it.
Well, then you're probably
Maybe you
with the
wouldn't.
wrong woman.
Probably.
Probably.
But not if that's what you feel like you should be doing, and that's what she
Right.
says, like, I want a big diamond, or I want to be like this or that. Not
Well,
everyone
let me-
is like that.
Let me ask you, does your woman demand a huge diamond? Because that's like the single and most important question that we're arriving to. Is your partner the honest, Ben? Come on, you can do this.
I can't believe this is happening right now.
Is she
You're killing me.
demanding?
All right, first of
Love
all,
it.
no one's my woman because I don't own anybody.
Right, your
I
part.
got you. With your accent and you saying that,
Okay.
it was too good. Is she your property? You know, it was perfect. No. I don't believe so in any stretch of the imagination.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then sounds like you're with the right lady. You know, I don't see any problem here. You're like, oh, men are expected to buy diamonds.
I'm
no,
speaking from the perspective of other men I know.
Right.
I would personally never buy someone a diamond. And it's not a financial thing. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Right.
Because there's always a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's financing. There's always something. It's what it represents. It's the principle of it. To me, love is so much more than that, than a millions of years of compressed organic material that created that structure. You know,
right?
It's
which is incredible, by the way. Can we just
everything
just
is that
appreciate
though, because the tree is equally as beautiful as that, because the tree is that diamond.
Absolutely.
You know, we are that diamond.
Oh
Any
my
organic
God,
material.
I have a proposal idea for you, Ben.
What's that?
You should find a tree in a forest. And like talk to the park management or the forest management and like buy the rights to that tree, and that be your proposal, like your proposal gift for your partner.
Oh,
it's fucking brilliant.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
Kill him in smalls.
There's nothing worse than having those types of conversations with someone that's not in that situation yet. You know, like not, and it's being recorded and filmed. Nothing I can do about it. And I will go by my promise if I don't edit this podcast. So it is what it is.
You don't edit this podcast?
Oh, no.
Holy shit.
No, I'm transparent with all my intention.
Okay.
This is a conversation people need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's fun though. You were like, wait a minute. You don't edit this? Your face changed so fast. You've been like, I'm going to say whatever I want. He'll just take it out. Freedom of speech and expression.
That's why I love America.
That is a pro. I'll tell you that.
I would like to go on record by saying.
You actually know that well.
For real. I do.
Coming from a communist country.
I do. That I have to say this. Yeah. That, you know, last year was so fucked up from like so many angles, like BLM protests, which is not a problem that surfaced. If you think that this problem just surfaced now, like, check your head. And then COVID and like everything. No live music, no performances, no art, no food for soul. And like we are starved to see art and to make art and to communicate with people. And I lost my thought. I was like...
That was such an epic, political,
oh, yeah, that's right. Political, thank you.
Communist.
America, with all its faults, is still the best place to live on this planet. I will say this.
Say it again.
America, with all its faults. You're going to edit this, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
No, okay. With all its faults, America is still the best place to live on the planet. I sincerely believe that.
Go into more depth, because you came from a country that does not have all the same rights we have here.
No, most certainly not.
So, and you're a white woman, you're a Caucasian woman from Eastern Europe.
Right.
And so it always really does matter where you are on this planet, where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
You know, so what does that mean to you? Can you elaborate more on that?
Where I come from, there is a lot of nepotism. Lots. Nepotism, corruption, which go hand in hand, pretty much decide the course of everything in Moldova and the rest of Eastern Europe and some Central Europe too. Like Serbia, Bulgaria, all of that is pretty much, might as well be Eastern European, Central Europe. And in America, you cannot buy yourself out of a lot of things that you can easily buy yourself out of in Moldova. Mm-hmm. And I feel like also you can achieve a lot more like merit-based things in America. Not as much. I mean, a lot more than in Moldova. Like you can be the best at doing something in Moldova, and if like you don't have the right connections, you will not get anywhere ever. Because especially if you like made enemies with someone in your industry, like forget about it. But here, you can work hard in the United States and literally achieve whatever the fuck you want. It's amazing. Amazing. Like, I know that if I stopped, I dropped everything and like I focused on my jewelry business, hired the right people to do the marketing, etc., hired help, I would be successful. Like that crosses my mind, you know? I know that that's possible. In Moldova, not necessarily possible because, you know, the economy is shit, etc., nepotism, corruption. And here, if you work hard and you put your mind where your mouth is and put your money where your mouth is, you can literally be anyone you want. It's wonderful.
And what about freedom of speech there?
Freedom of speech. Oh my God. So I come from a Russian-speaking family in Moldova. And I had very different views when I lived in Moldova. Like my views changed drastically throughout the years. I won't hide anything from you. I was pretty much a bigot when I came here. I come from the Orthodox Church. I sang in the choir, Orthodox Church choir, for many years, and I had very strong anti-LGBT beliefs. I think most people are naturally and unconsciously racist where I come from, just because we're not exposed to anybody other than our culture, like only what you see in TV. And the TV, unfortunately, doesn't do a very good job, like with inclusion and with fair representation of every nation. Like the African American is going to be a villain, the Asian is going to be the smart guy, and whatever. Like these stupid stereotypes that give people the kick to kind of the permission to be a racist fuck.
Yeah,
you know, like it's not great, but here you can say so many things and not be shot or put to jail, like thrown into jail. In Russia, where my parents are living currently, people are going to jail because of tweets. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Alexei Navalny, who is Putin's main opposition. Yeah, he was poisoned using a chemical poison that was like prohibited by the World, I don't know what it's called, Peace Convention or something like the
Geneva Convention.
Right? Yeah, it was forbidden. Like it's a forbidden substance in the world, and the Russian government, it feels empowered to do shit like this, to poison opposition. And not only that, but like imagine Trump being so upset before Biden was elected that Biden was running, that he would call the Senate and the Congress, and he would tell everybody, like, listen, what do we do about this Biden guy? Because I don't like him running against me. What do we do about him? Pretty hard to imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens daily in Russia. Government gets away with incredible crimes against their own people. And the Russian people, as wonderful as they are, as ready they are to bow down to authorities. Like it's painful to admit, you know, that Russians are ready to bow down to authorities. Like if somebody showcases their power and like, I don't know, is trying to act macho like Putin is, you know, you see him shirtless riding a horse, or like those pictures with him shirtless next to a bear or whatever. Like people are like, that's brilliant marketing.
Have you been there?
To Russia? Oh yeah, multiple times. Yeah.
What is it about the Russian people that, did they have a say in all of this? Like, why is this so loud? Because there's so many people there.
Rights are taken away as we speak. Like,
what do you think it is, if you can get into the mind of someone like Putin? Like, why would someone want to do that to their people?
I don't think he thinks that way.
No, he clearly doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
But
I think he's a sociopath.
Yeah.
Anybody on that level is a sociopath. There's a fascinating documentary on YouTube made by Navalny's team, like the opposition's team, documentary on Putin's castle, like his secret castle that he has been building for like, I don't know, 10 some years. Huge castle with like a winery next to it, like an entire city all to himself. He's building this thing. Like, okay, you know, I have nothing against any endeavors that a person may have. But if you are fucking other people, not literally, but if you are destroying other people's lives and stealing from your own people and doing all sorts of crimes, committing all sorts of crimes to get there, then fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And this is what he is doing.
Yeah.
He has been actively destroying his opposition. The guy's in the hospital still, like, not in the hospital. He's in jail now. The opposition, who Alexei Navalny,
Why
who was poisoned. He went to Germany for treatment. He was in a coma, by the way, for a couple of months after he was poisoned. Nobody knew if he was going to wake up or not. And then he came back to Russia. He returned to Russia, which was, you know, everybody was saying, like, a lot of people were saying that that's a really dumb thing to do, to return to Russia, to the place where you were almost killed multiple times. This was not the first time that they tried to kill him. And he went back, and they got him at the airport. They got him at the airport, and they jailed him. Putin is scared shitless of him.
Why did they jail him, though? What was the reasoning?
Well, it's some bullshit reason.
Just made it up?
It was completely made up. It was like he was in Germany. He was in coma in Germany. He was in Germany, and he didn't go to court to do some paperwork, like that at the time that he was supposed to do it. He was supposed to like check in with the court for some bullshit case that they made up against him years ago that was deemed a phony case by the European Supreme Court of Law. Mm-hmm. Yet, you know, he's jailed. Yeah. And he's going to be in jail for a while. And that's the lack of freedom of speech that we're talking about. Like, people are thrown into jail for saying shit. Like, I can go on the street right now and say whatever the fuck I want, and I will be fine.
You could literally say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
As long as you're not inciting violence, you can really literally say whatever you want.
And even if I was a racist fuck who goes on the street and like screams racial slurs and whatever, maximum that will happen to me will be like what?
Nothing, actually.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly.
You have to incite violence. Otherwise, nothing will happen. You could say whatever you want over and over again, and nothing will happen. It is equally a wonderful and beautiful thing as it is equally a dangerous thing.
Yes, it is.
It's that balance.
Sure is.
You could say some pretty heinous things and nothing will happen. But on the other side of that, we can do what we're doing right now. Like, you can talk about Russia and Putin and nothing will happen to you.
Thank God. I don't live in Russia. Thank God.
We could not have this podcast in Russia.
No, we could not.
No.
Literally,
I'd be in trouble.
You or I
said some things that I'd get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Both you and I would be in a lot of trouble if we said any of these things in Russia.
Absolutely.
Openly anti-Putin, you better have a one-way ticket
Not a fan of Putin.
Out of there.
Sorry, Putin. Not a fan. So
I'm sure he's very upset to hear this.
Russia's hand has infiltrated Moldova for a long time.
1812. That's when it started.
So 209 years, it's been a problem.
Good math.
It happens. And that's intense. And you grew up with that.
Yeah.
Hanging over you. So
and
women not having much of a say where you grew up as far as their future, their rights, their beliefs,
Yeah. Not much.
Not much.
Not much of that.
And you felt, when did you realize that as a young girl? Like,
7th grade, I knew I needed to get out.
It's 12 years old.
Yeah.
Is that what grade you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 12 years old.
12, 13, I already knew I'm leaving.
You
I
just
have to leave.
are becoming a young woman, going through puberty. Mm-hmm. So you start to think and feel different. You start to really take in more of the world, And that's probably when you're just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I need to get the hell out of here.
Where'd that come from? Were other girls at your age thinking and feeling the same thing? Did you have this conversation?
No, actually, my classmates were not thinking about it yet. I was thinking about it before anybody else that I knew around me. I knew I needed to get out. So I grew up in Moldova, but my grandfather on my dad's side lives in Russia, and I knew I could get citizenship through him to go to Russia. Thank God I didn't do that, because we would never meet.
Yeah,
but
right.
I would also be a very different person. I would probably further my pro-communist bigot views.
Yeah, we never touched on that. You said that when you were there, you were in the church, and then when you came to America at 18 for college, why choose Chicago and Roosevelt to begin with?
I was looking for schools in many different cities, and I applied to Boston Conservatory, San Francisco Conservatory, Brooklyn College, or something like that. And then Roosevelt was actually the only one that gave me a full ride.
Okay.
So I was
You have
very
to.
fortunate.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah, I'm taking this.
Yeah.
And so I came to Chicago. Best city in the world.
You like it?
It's the best.
It's great,
honestly,
right?
It's the best. I've been to so many cities. I hate New York.
Really?
I hate New York with a passion. Like, it's the noisiest, smelliest piece of junk there is in the United States. Oh, it stinks. It smells so bad. And like, there's no alleys. The trash is everywhere. It's like, it's painful.
How much experience do you have in New York? You sound very upset.
I'm very upset. Yeah. I went to New York, I don't know, maybe 10 times. 5 of those to see friends, and 5 for gigs, for work.
That is so funny.
I did some of the coolest work-related things in New York. Like, I recorded a Grammy-winning album with PJ Morton, with my friend Matt Jones, who is an arranger. By the way, he's a very, very good musician and like very inspiring. He inspired me to start doing my own arrangements and such. And so the project you recorded for me, like, very heavily inspired by my friend.
Okay.
So shout out to Matt Jones.
So you don't get a Grammy for that, do you?
Well, not at the statue thingy, but I have 2 Grammy certificates. I have three Grammys. From recording with Kirk Franklin, and the gospel artist. Amazing guy. Like, just unbelievable energy. Like, his energy is probably the energy you feel from like 50 people in the room.
Yeah.
But he's just one guy. I don't know how he does it, but he's incredible. Kirk Franklin.
Well, that's
And then-
amazing. So you have 3 Grammys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Very, very fortunate. I also did a Tiny Desk concert with PJ Morton, and that was
And
by
on
far...
on NPR?
Yeah.
Like, I can look it up right now.
You can look it up right now.
I'm going to look it up while you say that.
Absolutely. It was the coolest thing I did musically. I played Kennedy Center in DC.
What would it be called? Tiny Desk what?
PJ Morton. Tiny Desk. We did 3 songs. It was the best time. The video turned out great.
Is that you?
Yep, that's me right there.
1.6 million views.
Yeah, pretty good, huh?
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's a pretty great
I
video.
see you. You're famous. I didn't know I was hanging out with someone who's famous. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Right here.
That's you?
Yeah. They will show me a
With
bunch
the
of
glasses?
times. Yep, with the glasses.
Oh my God. That's
I wear
amazing.
contacts most of the time, but I
That's
slept
cool.
like 1 hour. What happened was I went to Florida to play with the symphony down there, and my friend called me on the phone while I was like waiting to board my flight back to Chicago. Matt Jones called me, and he's like, "Do you want to go to DC and do a Tiny Desk?" I'm like, "Yes, please." What am I, a fool to say no to that? I would be an idiot to say no. I was like, "You don't even need to pay me. I am going. I'm going." You hear? So I come back to Chicago, and that same night, he rented like an SUV, a big SUV, and the whole string group that you see in the video boarded that freaking car, and we drove to Washington, D.C. overnight. And
That's
the following
awesome.
morning, we played at NPR.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
It was rad.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, NPR, all these performances, all these people. 3 Grammys.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive by 28, huh?
Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty proud of what I've done.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I was very, very fortunate to meet all these musicians. And like, this comes from school. Matt Jones met someone at Roosevelt. He hooked him up with all of us at Roosevelt. And then like Matt put together this amazing group of musicians, you know, multiracial group of amazing string players who, like, you know how our gigs go. We come to the studio, 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. recording session, and we sight read this shit on the spot. And like, it has to be good.
Yeah.
You know, so he works with the kind of people who can sight read. And you'll hear like he writes some pretty incredibly elaborate passages. Like, it's not something that anybody can sight read. He makes sure to work with people who are up to his level.
Aren't you glad you started playing violin at 5?
Oh, absolutely.
'Cause you wouldn't have had any of these things.
Absolutely.
Isn't that crazy how that
That's
works?
why I said in the beginning, remember that like I see the value in the craziness.
Yeah.
You know, like not a whole lot of people. Full circle, going back to, you know, me looking out the window, crying.
So depressing.
So depressing. It sounds depressing, but none of those kids actually did anything serious. Like I think 2 of them are like, I don't know, this will sound horrible probably for some people, but 2 of those girls are like working as cashiers or something. 2 of those boys working from the playground. I'm talking about my playground. Kids my age. Like, I was the only one who got out of Moldova and did something.
Yeah. Wow.
You know? And there's
that's
nothing
powerful.
wrong with working a cashier. I want to go on record saying
Yeah.
that. But like,
I see your point. I see
there
what
is
you're
value
saying.
to
Yeah,
this.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I don't relate in the sense of I'm not from a foreign country with that type of upbringing and that type of extreme situation and circumstances, but I get it as far as just like that grind and putting forth a lot of effort. And I missed a lot of stuff doing my own grind, a lot of stuff. And now I'm almost like making up for that time now that I have the time, a little bit more time, and I found myself in very fun circumstances. Even like recording you in the backyard and in the basement and future endeavors, like it's very unique and fun and rare circumstances that I find myself in. And it's just from saying yes to everything and putting in that time and just doing all that work to where someone trusts you to do it.
Do you know the movie Yes Man?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just watched it like a week ago or less.
It's such a corny phrase, but it's so true.
It is
It's
true.
so true, and that's
it's
how I am.
so true.
You never know what doors it'll open.
You
And it opens
really
up the
don't know.
doors. And guess what? If you don't actually like what's on the other side, you don't have to do it. But at least you now know. You now know.
I will tell you the primary difference between your people and my people.
Who's my people? I don't have any people.
You know what I'm saying? For the sake of this
Yeah.
shenanigans.
Americans versus Moldovians.
Americans versus Eastern Europeans. Americans know, most of them, that they have a choice. In general, like in life.
Yeah.
You have choices. In Eastern Europe, there are very, very, very few people who understand the concept of choice. Having a choice. You can choose not to be mean. You can choose to do something to make yourself feel better if you feel bad. You don't have to suffer. But suffering is so deeply ingrained in our DNA, in the DNA of Eastern Europeans. Well, that comes from the Bible, right? Like, your kingdom is not now. Your kingdom is in the kingdom of... Your time is not now. Your time is in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Means that, you know, the more you suffer here, the more you will be rewarded in your future life. That is a crock of shit.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
Thank you for saying it. I agree.
Oh. When
That's
I
what people tell
realized that,
themselves who are just always suffering.
right. And it is a mentality.
It's sad. You don't get yourself out of something.
Absolutely. It is a mentality. You ingrain that in yourself, and that's what you end up believing. It's that little pattern that your brain learned, and it repeats it over and over, using different people, different places, over and over. putting yourself in a feeling of danger, your anxiety is lying to you most of the times. Your anxiety is lying to you.
Mm-hmm. Mind blown. Absolutely. No, it's impressive where you came from and how you're here.
Yeah,
and those
absolutely.
achievements. That's amazing. And we never even touched on your past goals you had, but what are some of your future goals? Because you've accomplished so much now. You're only 28.
Yeah.
What's next? What are some other goals?
If you were in Eastern Europe, you would say you're already 28, not only 28.
Oh, no. Only 28.
Absolutely. I'm of the same mentality. I love arranging, and I love the brain activity that comes with it. Like I feel like I'm doing such a unique mathematical yet creative task when I write a score. It sucks me in. I listen to the song, and just like with seeing an outfit and imagining the jewelry to go with it exactly the way I see it,
mm-hmm.
I hear the strings that are supposed to be in a song that are not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love in the future to be hired more as an arranger and music director. Music director is my ideal job, because just my character is very managerial. Like I have very strong feelings about how things should be done in music. And like the things that I'm really good at, I have very strong feelings about. Like if you're recording a string arrangement, I know how it's supposed to sound. And like I will not back down until my quality is achieved. You know this already. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, blessing and a curse. But I cannot run away from this side of me. I would be cheating myself if I told myself, oh, this is okay, or that's okay. Like this 80% out of 100 is okay. No, it's not okay for me. So I'm probably someone who is tough to work with. I'm not always valuing like the like hippy dippy like attitudes towards music. Like I don't always appreciate that. I think there's room for that. I think there's specifically designated times for that. Like if you are doing songwriting, then please don't put any rules upon yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That would not help, right?
Mm-mm.
You as a songwriter would concur.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then if you're trying to record something and you have something in mind, like I'm someone who needs to get the thing out of my mind to move on,
Yeah.
So my goals in the future would be to direct projects, to write arrangements, and to continue working with amazing musicians, which I have had great luck meeting some amazing musicians.
Not luck, preparation, meeting opportunity.
Yeah.
That's what luck is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What is luck to me is that we all exist. That's luck. And everything beyond that is anything you can do to take the most from that opportunity, good or bad. But to just be here is luck, and that's the only thing I think is lucky in this life.
Right.
It is a diminishing quality to tell yourself or to have others tell you that, like, oh, you're lucky you did this and that. It's like, maybe I just worked so hard for it that someone noticed.
It is true that I worked very hard to be at the level that I am.
Even what you said.
Yeah.
You're the only one from that playground who made it here. That's huge.
It's true. It's true. So, of course, everybody like gets to a point of like, in your self-analysis, you may get some feelings of resentment of like how your parents did you wrong, etc. My dad was blah 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 blah, and my mom was blah 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 blah. And then at some point of my self-analysis, of course, I succumbed to those feelings, and it's okay. By the way, to everybody listening, it's okay if you feel feelings of resentment towards your parents, but know that not no, yes and no, but know that you as an adult are not the same as you as a child. What do I mean by that? Is that you as a child didn't have a choice. You had to follow your parents' rules. You had to follow the bedtime. You had to do your homework, etc., etc. You as an adult, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to buy that diamond.
Here we go with the diamond.
Sorry, then I had to.
No,
You set it up.
I love it.
You don't have to practice your violin. You don't have to get good at anything. The beauty of all of this is that you reap what you sow as an adult. You face the implications. You face the consequences. And you also face the rewards if you work really hard. And in America, if you work really hard, like, there's no excuse for anybody here in a big city to be a bigot or to be a lazy bum. I think that. Because the opportunity is overflowing. Like, if you think there's no opportunity here, you clearly have never been anywhere in the world. You know?
Yeah.
But I just don't know. Like, I know so many people, including myself in the past, who are just so professional at making excuses about everything. But I didn't have time. But I was busy. But I was tired. Then prioritize things differently. You know? Like, so living in Chicago, I can only speak for Chicago because I've only lived in Chicago in the United States.
Maybe that's why you think it's the best city, because it's the only one you've lived in?
I've been to other cities. I've visited many cities. I went all over the Midwest. I love Madison, by the way. Madison, Wisconsin. If I could live in another city, it would probably be there. Or Portland, Oregon. I love Portland.
What makes you love Chicago so much?
It's like New York without the shittiness.
Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, I'm so sorry, New Yorkers. If there are any New Yorkers listening.
I'm loving it. This is hilarious.
Oh.
And I know enough New Yorkers.
Chicago.
This is just funny to me.
Chicago is not overpopulated.
That is true.
Number
I mean,
one.
it's relative to what? I mean, it is pretty darn populated. Like, think about how long it took you to get here. I'm not that far.
Right. You're not that far. And if I was coming from Pilsen, if I knew how to drive, I would drive.
You don't know how to drive?
I don't know how to drive. I'm a freaking European.
Do you want me to teach you?
Probably. After I buy that house next door.
Yeah, buy the house next door.
Yeah.
Teach you how to drive.
Right.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah. Where were we?
Oh, why Chicago?
Why Chicago?
No, Pilsen. You said if you knew how to drive, if there was no traffic and you knew how to drive and you live in Pilsen.
25 minutes.
I mean, I've done it faster, but, no one needs to know that. I've gotten
Clearly,
home.
but you don't edit this podcast.
No, I
do
don't.
You?
But I will. I mean, my friends know. I have a lead foot, and I know the city well, and I know. I mean, I've been here my whole life, and I know the timing of stuff. And if you leave, Logan Square, Bucktown, Wicker Park, late at night on a weekday, and there's no traffic, you can get home in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
it's not that far. It's the traffic. So it is heavily populated relative to LA and New York. It's not.
Exactly.
Because those are really popular.
But we have the same opportunities as New York, LA, or any other big city.
Depends on the industry.
Depends on the industry, sure.
Acting, there are some theater in Chicago, but behind New York and LA, it's not the best for acting,
Right.
It's great for music. But
also, the markets are so oversaturated with great performers.
It becomes relative, yeah.
I think being in a city like Chicago, you would have a huge advantage if you're really good at what you do.
Music is phenomenal here.
Yeah.
I've been to other cities as well. And based on the location of Chicago, its population, the layout, and the musical scene and its history, and the universities and the colleges that bring in fresh artists and musicians every year, it is one of the best places in the world for music, by far.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have the major airports. You have all the major highways throughout the whole country coming through. You have these major universities, again, bringing in people. You have major institutions, museums, galleries, famous for art and architecture, famous for music. The independent scene, the indie scene, the DIY scene is extravagant. I've looked at I've Googled DIY scenes, or I've looked up on Facebook groups, DIY scenes, and Chicago has the biggest members of the Chicago DIY scene. I think it's like 22,000 members. Other major cities have only seen 3,000, 4,000, 5,000.
Yeah.
So Chicago's is the most vast one.
Yeah.
And it's different. It's different. I mean, New York, LA, Portland, Seattle, Dallas, Fort Worth, Atlanta, Chicago. They all have great music. Nashville, great music
Nashville,
scenes.
Yeah.
But it's very eclectic here. You
Yeah.
don't just think of one. You know, when you think of New York, you might think of like the underground, like new wave scene. You know, Portland might think of like hipster indie rock scene, or Seattle. LA you might think of like LA music, like extravagant electronic house, art rock, rock and roll. Dallas Fort Worth you might think of that twang, you know, that folk, that rock music. And same with Nashville.
Yeah.
But Chicago, people think blues and jazz is too traditional. That's way too old school. That's what it was.
Absolutely.
That's what founded it, right?
You're right.
But now it's just everything. I mean, the CSO,
It is everything.
the symphony orchestra here,
Truly.
the operas,
Yeah.
all the venues.
Yeah.
I've been and performed in most of them, and there's venues like no other everywhere.
Yeah.
And the music scene is just, it's over the top. It's extravagant. It's amazing. It's what's allowed me to flourish so well with
What's your
you know,
favorite music venue in Chicago?
my favorite one that I think sounds am I doing it based on engineer? Like, how's it sound, or to perform at, or
How about one as a performer and the other as an engineer?
as an engineer? I would probably say I like Lincoln Hall the most. Lincoln Hall, yeah. As a performer, I'm more of small things. I really love performing at the Empty Bottle. Empty Bottle is probably one of the worst with sound because of the shape, the layout. You have the band,
Right.
you have the stage in the corner. Very funky layout.
Right.
But as far as performing, it's very legendary. It's like a rite of passage if you're in a band in Chicago. Beautiful area, Ukrainian village. And just, legendary venue. I've seen some of my favorite musicians of all time on that stage. And then to play it's been amazing. But sound-wise, Lincoln Hall's phenomenal with how it sounds.
Yeah.
It's just stunning.
What do you think about Thalia Hall?
And now, is it Thalia Hall or Thalia Hall?
Oh, whatever.
I love Thalia Hall. I call it
Yeah.
Thalia Hall. Now you got me stuck. I call it Thalia Hall. I love Thalia Hall. It sounds great too, but it's just on the brink of size not matching up with acoustic space. There becomes a point where if you're doing sound reinforcement with PA systems, line array, subwoofers, too big becomes a problem because of acoustic reflections and delays in sound because of distance.
Right.
So if you're doing it for theatrical purposes, like operatic things and orchestral pieces, that's great because then you can fill up that space and you don't have all that or sonic reinforcement from PA systems building up a lot of energy in the room. It naturally disperses out, and you know that with your performances. But smaller and more uniform in shape, not wide, but more narrow as far as a rectangle is considered. And if you could fill it up with bodies, that's like the best place to be. So like a Shuba's Lincoln Hall type of thing is great. A Subterranean upstairs is kind of a nice one when it comes to that.
Oh, I played Subterranean with Peeve. Yeah,
That's
that was
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, the most important thing is filling the spot, not
Right.
for the ego of like, oh, this is a sold out show. It's acoustically, it's better to have human bodies. Human bodies are the best sound absorbers by far.
Yeah.
We're all a bunch of weird shapes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of soft material that we're made of and on us.
Right.
So we absorb sound, we diffuse sound. Only low frequencies can diffract around us. And we all have different heights and depths, which is the best for sound dispersion and diffusion. You know, it's so bodies. So
Yeah.
you want that in a space. You play in an empty venue, it sounds awful.
And
It's
just
so
like playing
reflective.
into a Zoom camera is fucking awful.
Yeah.
My God.
Oh boy, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, I did one of those last year. It was like the saddest performance of my life.
You sound sad talking about it.
Just
It brought
like-
you back.
Right, it really did.
What has been your favorite venue to perform in the world?
In the world.
In the world.
Okay. Bucharest. Athenaeum Roman Athenaeum. It's like this gorgeous concert hall, and I played there with my Moldovan youth orchestra.
Where is it at?
It's in Bucharest, in Romania.
Okay.
Yeah, the capital of Romania, and it has the best acoustics. Wow. It's like just
How old is that
just
place?
Gorgeous. I don't know, a couple of 100 years old.
That's it?
It's old. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
You can't say that in Chicago. I don't
No.
know. Max like 110 years old. Like that's,
Right.
Oh, 120 maybe is the oldest you can get in most
Right.
places.
No, it's a couple of 100 years
That's
old.
so cool.
I don't know for sure.
Is it weird to play in a place that's like 500 years old?
If you are attuned to like energetic things, I think that the energy you can get just from being there, like your body, your physical body and spiritual body being there, like you can sort of draw, you know, from the building because the building has seen so much.
Oh my God,
Like
yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's really incredible.
Yeah. I can't imagine it. That's so cool to think about. Yeah, that's the one thing America doesn't have is
History?
we don't. Well, our history is pretty sketchy. It's
Right.
pretty
Yeah.
daunting and terrible. But
Not unlike other big,
not unlike
big countries.
that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's every country actually.
Yeah, every country.
No
yeah.
one has a good history.
No.
How did you think you got there? You had to
Yeah,
take over something
exactly.
else and kill them.
Yeah.
That's how you got. That's the only way it worked up until like I don't know.
Now.
Like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, like 10
The
minutes
Geneva
ago.
Convention, the UN.
Right.
It took atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki for them to be like, you know what? Maybe we should get together,
And not do that anymore.
not split atoms, and create this nearly unequivocal. I can't speak right now. An energy source you can't really quantify and destroy everything in sight. Maybe we should not do that. So it took some heinous acts for it to finally get to a point. But up until then, yeah, it's been brutal how we got to where we are. So it doesn't take away from how messed up the situation has been and was with slavery and racism
Yeah.
and Native Americans being, segregated and pushed away to different lands
Yeah,
and
it's
just being completely
insane.
lost and forgotten. It's terrible, but at the same time, this has happened throughout all of history.
Right.
And all we can do as a country, society, culture is learn from that and never make those mistakes again.
Exactly.
Admit to them. I mean, it wasn't you. It wasn't me. I wasn't there. I didn't
Right.
do those things.
Uh-huh.
In direct and indirect ways, a lot of our ancestors did. But all we can do is know the history of it, talk about it like we are right now,
Right.
admit like this happened, it's messed up, and never do it again. And try your best to make good in any way you can with anybody that's been affected by it,
How do you go about talking with someone who has completely different views from yours?
How do I?
Yeah.
Same way I would with anybody else. Just talk to them because they're just a person.
Right.
If they have a different view, then ask about it. What makes you feel that way? Mm-hmm. Go further. To talk to someone who has a different view than you and to berate them and instantly get defensive, in no world will that help them, help you learn and change their mind.
Right.
If we had a different belief, why would it work if you just started yelling at you?
Right.
You're an adult with your own experience, you'd get more upset. You would shut that door right away if I started berating you.
Yeah.
So the best way I believe to do it is to calmly and peacefully and with an open mindset have that conversation. You might
Ask questions.
ask questions. You might learn something even if you didn't think you would. And maybe take your time with it. If it's a family member or a sibling, a loved one that has a different belief than you and you're trying to figure out a way to change their perspective on something that you might know they should probably stop thinking that way. You might have to take days, weeks, months, years.
Yes.
Probably years. If it's someone older, an aunt, uncle, parent, it might take years, but that's all you have. So you have to do the best
Yeah.
with what you have. What are you going to do? Just hate them and shut them off like it's your family? You're kind of stuck. So
Well, you can. You can.
you can.
You have a choice.
You can.
You always have a choice.
My choice is to try something
It's a very good
than
choice.
to just sweep it under the rug and walk away.
Right.
That's my way of doing it.
I think that it doesn't apply to everybody because there is such thing as toxic parents. There is such thing as toxic people, and you want to protect yourself from that if you
Yeah.
are not one.
Yeah.
And so you do have a choice always. Do you want to invest your energy into asking them the questions?
I think about that all the time.
Right? Yeah, me too.
There's people I know where I just go do I even have the capacity right now to
Right.
go down?
Can I do this? Should I do this?
It's hard. I feel guilty sometimes when I hear something.
Right.
I want to try my best to do something about it, but I just walk away because I'm I can't deal with this right now.
Handle, yeah. Yeah, you can only handle so much.
I feel bad
as
about
one
it, though,
person. As long as you feel bad.
I can't help it. I feel guilty about it. It's the main source of my frustration and sadness is, I don't believe is a chemical imbalance or a lower level of dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guilt that others aren't happy.
Right.
Or others are suffering, or others are going through something.
Right.
That's where I feel bad. That's what makes me sad. That's what makes me not fall asleep at night or cry, is the pain of others being hurt, sad, not happy, not satisfied, suffering. So I don't know. I don't know what that is.
High level of responsibility.
Yeah.
You
Feeling very responsible for everything and everyone, always.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's something that you can work through only with yourself, though.
Yeah.
Only with yourself. It's
There's
There's
pros
no
and cons to it.
magic recipe. Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. I think understanding, like having the full grasp of the idea of choice, that it is a choice, even if even feelings are a choice. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But it is a choice. Like you can choose how to react to things.
Like, for example, if something bad happens to you, what's your natural reaction? Like, let me give you examples. Maybe you're running to the bus and you know it comes every 30 minutes and you just missed it because the driver just wasn't paying attention. They just went on about their day because maybe they're having their own moment. What do you, and it's hot out. It's today. It's 95 degrees out. How would your reaction be?
Probably no reaction. I would probably get my phone out and get a Lyft or an Uber. That's my reaction.
You wouldn't be mad?
God damn it! No, I would not be mad.
What if you didn't have the money for a Lyft and Uber and you had to take that public
transportation? See, that's
bus?
different. My goal in life is to get to that point where no problem around me couldn't be solved by money. Like
without money.
Right.
Yeah.
Without money, right. See, like, yeah, if you
not everyone can get there, though.
Right. Can is a tricky. I think people can a lot more than they think.
Eventually,
they believe.
But not like I don't think there's enough. The way the system is designed right now, I don't think there's enough opportunity and money for all 7.8 billion people to be a millionaire.
We have to kill Jeff Bezos.
Do you know what I'm saying, though? Like, wouldn't everyone love to just be like, money's not a problem? Like, I've heard that so many times in my life. Like, I just want to have enough money to where, like, I don't have to worry about it. It's like, yeah, you, me, and everyone we know.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
Which one?
You, me, and everyone we know.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Anyway, Miranda July. Have you heard of Miranda July?
Mm-mm.
Okay, never mind.
I'll have to check it out.
Anyway, but of course, everyone wants that. But, like, is there enough actual capital gain and room for all human beings on this planet to be there? Is that even how the system's designed to work?
I don't think the system is designed to benefit anybody other than the people who designed it. However, I do think that there is much more opportunity in the world than we were made to believe.
Yes, there is.
And I used to think that I could never do the things like I did. I never imagined I could play Tiny Desk. Are you kidding me?
Have you ever played a big desk?
Oh.
Listen, your Frank joke, my big...
Right.
Enough of the dad jokes. No.
Never enough. Never enough. Yeah. So have you performed with your bands outside Chicago?
No, I have not.
If you were to choose like one venue that money is no object, like it's doable right now, anywhere in America, where would you go?
In America?
Yeah.
Probably... Probably Carnegie Hall, New York City.
I was so hoping you wouldn't say that.
The only reason why I would say that, the only reason why I would say it, I have said that one, because I haven't been to many venues outside of Chicago, but I've been to that one. It's the only one I could relate to. Do you know what I'm saying? I haven't played anywhere else. I don't even think I've been to a venue in a different city.
Oh, really?
I think I went to one in Milwaukee there, the Eagles Ballroom. But other than that, I've only been to pretty much every single one in Chicago. and a couple in other parts of Illinois. But that's it. So I have like nothing to base it off of, you know. Maybe one other one, but not a lot, no. So if I know my choice would change if I'd been to other places instead, you know.
Right.
But if I had to pick a place that's not inside, I would probably want to play in the middle of the desert.
That would be pretty cool.
Because I've been to the middle of the desert enough to like a whole concert in just the middle of the desert, nowhere.
For me, it would be in a mountain.
Okay, so
Mountaintop.
we have similar things in mind of just being way out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to be? I want to be in a grand basin, just like 100 miles away from these vast, distant mountains. You know, and you're just in the middle of an old ocean from 50 million years ago, where you could still feel the salt in the sand. You know, like that's where I'd want to play.
That is pretty out there. In a good way.
How about you? If you could pick a venue in America?
A venue in America?
So you've been to so many more. I already know it.
I don't know. Yeah, I think Chicago venues are great. If I were to go outside Chicago, well, I don't know. I think Carnegie, every classical musician hears the words Juilliard and Carnegie Hall so many times in our lives that, like, that's the last place I want to go to. The rebel in me is like, fuck Carnegie!
Yeah.
Let's never
we have different
go
experiences with that, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. Is it for a classical concert or is it for a rock concert? Rock concert. I would probably want to play some like insane Summerfest, like Summerfest.
Summerfest in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
I've been there. Really?
Yeah.
Why that?
I don't know.
I thought you were going to say DZ
cool.
Fest, but whatever.
I don't know. I haven't gotten an invitation to DZ yet.
It's filled up. The poster's right there. You know that.
No, for next year. No pressure, Ben.
Oh, you put me on a lot of pressure. This talking about diamonds and how someone feels about them, and now DC
You know
Fest.
what? The song. Oh my God! Is it a song or is it just a cliche phrase that diamonds are a girl's best friends? Who made that shit up?
That sounds like something that Zales or some type of jewelry store would make up, to be honest.
Yeah, because
That doesn't sound
I don't
real.
know.
It sounds made up by a store.
Yeah.
A corporation. Definitely made
It
that one
sounds
up.
like it could have been in a song, you know what I mean?
Maybe. It does. Maybe it was in a song, so they took that slogan, or vice versa. A company
Verse
came out there.
versa.
Verse versa? That was vice versa. Now you're switching the whole phrase. Oh, that was clever.
It's too much.
Yeah, there's so many weird tropes like that.
Yeah, and like all of that is put into your head at an early age. So of course you grow up thinking that you need to do a certain thing. When in reality,
I can't
no.
stand it.
No, you
I
cannot.
admire so many people who don't do that. Men, women. It always leans more towards women because men already are told to do that.
Right.
I admire men who are open about their feelings.
Yeah.
The opposite of what, men do.
Right.
Who are okay with themselves, okay
Right.
with being more, air quotes, feminine. Talking about their feelings.
Bullshit.
When I see a man cry, I appreciate it more because they don't so often. Like, so often, men won't share anything about their feelings, and
Exactly.
I mean, on this podcast alone, I think I've probably cried 3-4 times.
I didn't make you cry yet.
Not yet. You came close.
With the diamonds, wasn't it? Wasn't it the diamonds? I knew it.
No, you haven't made me come close to crying yet.
Okay. Good.
I felt a little sad when you were talking about looking at kids outside your window.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. But it's all for the greater good. Do the ends justify the means? Do the means justify the ends?
It's usually when you hear something just so overwhelmingly emotional, it's like you can't help it. Usually a tragic thing. A lot of the stories I've heard from women and the harassment,
Oh, yeah.
physical, emotional, sexual harassment, that's pretty hard to stomach, knowing for so many years that's been going on around me in the world, and either I didn't know, I've never thought about it because I don't live that way, I don't act that way. I've never catcalled. I don't even know how to do that. Like, doesn't make sense to me.
You are the weird one, you know that. Yeah. According to everybody. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who is everybody
I
anyway?
don't. I just, so I couldn't fathom that. And then when I've heard so many people tell me on and off mic throughout my life, but more recently, women have been so much more open about it. I've just been so overwhelmed, like, wow, that happened to you? Like, over and over again, the stories I've heard, and it's so sad, so tragic. You know, I'm sure you've faced your own, you know?
I have.
I can't imagine. So many industries are male-dominated, and the music one is very male-dominated.
Classical music is super male-dominant.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've gone through a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if this podcast is the good place to share about this, but...
You don't have to say anything you don't want to.
Right. You know, I have not shared my Me Too story. I don't think... I mean, for sure not on any public occasion, like a recording or anything like that. Like, my family knows. Not my dad, though. He doesn't know. He doesn't speak too much English, so he won't get this. But, yeah, when Me Too happened, like, I was shocked, too, by the amount of women around me who went through completely shitty, unnecessary, avoidable situations. If men were taught how to respect women and how to feel comfortable with themselves and not try to be someone who they're not, man up and whatever, going back to why men need feminism, so that they don't have to man up. They can just be themselves. Mm-hmm. The air quote feminine side of them can live, you know, and exist in harmony with the masculine. We all have both.
Absolutely.
Like, you're not just a woman. You're not just a man.
No.
And there are so many more genders to it. Like, that's a whole nother story. Like, with people coming to terms that, no, it's not just two. There's more. And there's a full spectrum greater than the colors on the rainbow. Like, it's more than that. LGBTQ is more than the colors of the rainbow. One major realization of my change in beliefs, if you will, of, you know, living in Moldova and then coming here, is that I think most people who are homophobic, by the way, not a good word because phobia means fear, but they don't fear gay people, they hate gay people. Mm-hmm. Not just gay. By gay, I mean everybody who is not like them. I had realized that I pushed my own sexuality so deep inside and covered it with this bigotry instead of admitting to myself that I am bisexual and I have liked women and men since I can remember myself. This is, like, majority of people does not know this about me. So this is totally personal moment.
God.
Sharing.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, like, through my own experience, I realized that Mike Pence is the gayest man you'll ever know. So is Putin. He probably is... I don't know, hanging out with a young, handsome guy right now. Putin. And Pence.
Wait, hold on. Oh my God, you were saying such a serious thing, and then you're making me crack up. You have my feelings and emotions all over the spectrum right now.
I am gonna make you cry, aren't I?
Are you telling me that
yeah.
Not a lot of people know that about you, or?
Oh no, very few family, like my sister and my mom knows. My husband obviously knows that I'm bisexual, but no, majority of friends don't know this about me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're just sharing it.
I'm just sharing it.
What is it about this place that makes people share things?
Share all sorts of shit. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's you. I don't think it's the place. I think it's you.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I think you are the place.
Like, that's such a beautiful thing to say. It's just the way you say it. Because you not only is your accent, you know, air quotes, intimidating, it's the way you have you look into my soul. You stare into the eye.
I have this capability.
You stare into the eye and you say, like, it's you. You are the place. And I'm just like, whoa. Wow, thank you. That's a really beautiful thing to say.
But for real.
I appreciate
mean it. I never flatter. Ben, you should know this about me. I never flatter. I don't believe in flattery.
That's that Eastern European.
It
in
is.
you.
It's very Eastern European.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a quality that I'm looking to change. You know, I've changed a lot of things about me. For some reason, people fear change. Like, they think that they will lose themselves if they start believing something else. That's not how it works. If you're pondering on some idea in your head, that's good.
Yeah.
It's the best.
It's good to think differently.
You should do that.
Yeah. Question your own
Yeah.
beliefs
Absolutely.
every day.
And, you know, my husband is so smart. He said something that stuck with me so hard. He says, if you are not willing to question your beliefs, then what does that tell about your beliefs? That blew my mind when I heard that. It
I
was
like that.
wait, oh my God, for real? Like, what does that say about your beliefs?
I mean, the paradox of that alone, of a belief, is something that you literally are putting, aside from mathematics, which branches into science, you're essentially just putting your own faith and hope and concepts that you've conjured up into something, an idea. So there are holes in it. It's not bulletproof.
Yeah.
So to not question that inherently means that if you don't go that way, then you're living a contradictory. You're living questionably big lies that you don't even know.
Right.
It's just a belief. Like, it's something that you are putting your identity into. It doesn't necessarily make it all 100% foolproof.
Right.
I don't think any belief is. I think there's always meandering concept that can go around it or through it, and you need to kind of figure that out and try to pinpoint it. And those pinpoints, you're going to poke a lot of holes, but eventually you'll get close to something.
Yeah, closer to self,
Yeah.
I think. Because the more I questioned my beliefs, the more beliefs I found that resonated with my soul, that weren't just like... And very important to realize that, like, you don't know what you know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
There is so much that we don't know, that thinking that this is the way, like, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we have Putin, that's how we have Trump,
Yeah.
etc. You know, they are only two people in a group of assholes who are in power.
I know. Those guys. I can't.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's not just them. There's a lot of them. The president of Brazil, the Venezuelan guy, the all sorts of people. Like,
But you know what? The most important people in my life and the most powerful people are not those people. It's people you interface with. It's this.
Yeah, it is.
It's friendships. It's musicianship. It's your husband. It's maybe if you have kids, it's your child. It's your local,
community.
Yeah, community. Your mayor. Like, these are really what affects you, like, at a fundamental level.
Yeah.
The other things are so important, but they're so detached and so removed. Like, there's only so much I can do about the president. Like, really, there's really only so much I can do. And I do that every 4 years. I cast a vote. Like, what else can I actually do?
Good for you. Thank you so much for doing that. Legit, like, to everybody who votes, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I cannot vote yet. I'm not a citizen yet. I hopefully will be in like 2 to 3 years.
What takes so long if your husband's a citizen?
My husband is a citizen. First, you apply for residency. You get a 2-year card, a green card. And then you apply for the 10-year card, because the first card is temporary. It's called conditional resident. And then after you become a conditional resident, you become a permanent resident.
Oh, okay.
And then after 3 years from the moment of receiving the first card, you can apply for citizenship. And that takes about a year to process.
What a process.
It's majority of people have no idea.
Yeah, no, I don't. I was born here.
Why would you?
Why would I?
Why would you? Yeah,
that's very ridiculous.
And prior to this, I had a visa called Alien with Extraordinary Abilities.
Wow.
Called the O1 visa.
You're an alien with extraordinary abilities. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a weird way to phrase that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And that process was super tedious. Like, getting a green card through marriage is much, much, much easier than applying for an artist visa. That's the alien with extraordinary
I'm sure
abilities.
that's the easiest way to get or at least the easiest way to fast track the process is to be married to someone who's
Yeah.
born here, right?
Absolutely. That is the quote unquote easiest way. It's
Yeah.
still not easy. Like, for example, I thought, should I talk about this? Should I not? No, I'm gonna fucking talk
You've
about
been
it.
doing that all day.
Immigration is racist.
Oh, yeah.
Immigration is fucking racist. We have clients from all over the world. We have lots of clients from Western Africa. Statistically speaking, our clients from Western Africa have a much harder time getting residency than people from Europe.
Eastern Europe. Moldova. Let's pick a country.
They do discriminate against Eastern Europeans. They do. Immigration does. But they will not discriminate against a German person, a French person, a British person. Western Europe is like its own little thing. Like people are...
What do you think? Because you have a little bit of insight because you work at a firm.
Right.
So what do you know? Like, why is that? Why?
Why is that? It's a consciousness problem. It's not like who... Contrary to what many people believe, like it's the people on top that are screwing things up. No, it's not. It's like the immigration officers who are on power trips. They are on a power trip. They want to feel like they are doing something meaningful. So they are ignoring the guidelines. There's something called the preponderance of the evidence, which means that the evidence in its totality has to prove that a person married to a U.S. citizen is in a good faith marriage rather than not. So the preponderance of evidence, like in its totality, has to prove that. What immigration officers do is they pick and choose a bunch, like random documents from the list of documents and find little tiny problems with them. And they specifically do this to black people. They specifically do this to specific people. It's not incidental. We have clients who have their residency pending for like a ludicrous amount of time, like 4 years. Like we have people who applied in 2017, still no decision because immigration officer didn't do their job. Do you know how much it costs to apply for papers through a spouse?
No.
$1,760.
That's a lot of money.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's a shitload of money. And then, like, immigration as a branch of the government is primarily funded by these fees. So immigration depends on people filing for their paperwork. And then people doing it legally, doing it properly, are facing such intense scrutiny, especially people from Africa.
It's so messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely messed up.
It seems like the system...
And brown people, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just black people. Brown people, too.
It seems to be the thing I hear from all walks of life, from every system, from the traditional system to the immigration system, education system. I even see it in, communities and neighborhoods. I've would deliberately, ignore the highway a lot, going to friends' houses in the city, and I would take certain roads that went through really, really hard neighborhoods, really low-income neighborhoods. And that's not far from here. It's not far from the nice neighborhoods. It's not far from Lincoln Park and Gold Coast and Wicker Park and Bucktown. And yet you see that and you're like, it's right underneath our nose. The segregation
it's right
and
here.
The gentrification is right there. And why is nothing being done about it? I don't know. You see the racism right in front of you. You see it all the time. And you see it with this immigration law,
Absolutely. Yeah,
It's
all the time.
It's really...
all the time.
Oh, it's sad. I try to do what I can within the realm of my capabilities, my possibilities,
That's what's important.
Yeah.
You can only do what you can do. And if you're doing that, you're doing great.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's... Wow, we got dark here. We were laughing, asking would you play Carnegie Hall? And then you're telling me about...
Yeah.
Like your sexuality.
Yeah, yeah.
And you said something about Me Too, and then I don't know what's going on. We're all over the place. I'm just
all over the place, yeah. It's the energy, man. It's the moon and whatever.
We're going to talk about astrology now?
Are you into it?
Do I look like I'm into it?
Probably not. No.
Are you?
I appreciate it.
That was a good answer. I appreciate it in the same way I appreciate everything. I'm open to hearing about it.
Right.
But do I believe it? No, I mean, I don't believe a lot of things. So I'm fascinated by it, but I don't put all my eggs in that basket at all.
Right.
You know?
I don't think it's good to put all of your eggs in any basket.
No.
I think you should
The astrology one is very fascinating, though, because it's become such a popular thing these days.
Right.
Like, it's such a common thing you see on social media, on dating apps, you know. It's really interesting. And I've brought this up before. I brought it up with friends on and off podcast. I only ever really hear women bring it up. I don't know why. And I'm not being sexist. I've heard women say the same thing, like, yeah, me too. Like,
yeah.
I never hear guys talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I don't know why. I keep asking why. Like, I ask women, what do you think about that? So I'm going to ask you, what do you think about that statement?
So I was very against astrology for a very long time. And then I thought about how it's not, good to completely cross out an entire some people may disagree if I call it science. I think it is somewhat of as much as like self-help as any science. Like the astrology can be used to your benefit in many different ways. And I would like to explain.
Yeah, please do.
So actually the two times I had an astrological reading was with guys. My two astrologers are men. One of them is a very, very old man, very wise. He's a shaman. John Sacelli is his name. He was big in the Chicago DIY scene. He was like in every hippie event like that happened in the DIY scene. He's super wise. And like, I love listening to people who are wise. I love hearing them share their ideas, and I thought that it was not right of me to completely cross out astrology without knowing anything about it. Like, I felt really stupid doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I will put my best effort into learning about it and doing my best to understand as much as I can without getting a fanatic about it. And then the more I learned about it, the more fascinating it got. The more interested I became in like the little connections because it's not like I'm an Aries, so I'm like a free spirit. It doesn't work that way. Astrology, I think the popularized astrology gives astrology a bad name.
Yeah. I agree with that. So elaborate on the part of it that you appreciate or more into,
I appreciate astrology from an esoteric point of view, if you will. I think you can learn a lot about different type of behavioral patterns based on when someone was born. I know it sounds crazy, but it does. It does. But like when
try to do it with me then.
I can't because I don't know your exact. I would need to like run your chart through
But the thing is,
where your constellations were when you were born.
Where that chart come from, and what it says about someone, some person just came up with, like your X,
Ben,
Y, and
you know
Z.
what? Every science was made up by a person.
That's true, except we've been able to do something called we've had hypotheses,
Right.
And there's something called the scientific method. You know this. We all know this. Like we.
But science is not absolute.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No,
Neither
it's
is
not.
astrology. It's not absolute.
Well, they're very different. One is way more absolute than the next.
Right. I think that if you are geared to only believing like
how this microphone is working in going to zeros and ones and coming back and then being put on the internet. Like, that is all science and engineering. And those work, otherwise it wouldn't work.
Absolutely.
Whereas,
so astrology in this case has nothing to do with this science. It's a science of its own. I think it is useful to consider it as a behavioral guideline for people. You know, like, for example, I did, after doing my own chart, after 2 different astrologers did my chart, I got very curious about certain qualities in my family members' characters that I needed to check in their chart, right? I need to do this.
Okay.
So I did that, and it alleviated a lot of frustration in a weird way. You know, like, this person is prone to doing this. Like, I'm an Aquarius, but this means nothing. Because there are like 17 other qualities in the astrological chart. It's very intricate. I think it's so unfair to diminish it into this like horoscope. You know, like Aquarius this month is going to have more luck than the previous month. Like, that's garbage.
Yeah.
That's not astrology.
I need
that's
to hear
bullshit.
the part that you're talking about, the experience you've had. I would need someone to do that for me, even to give it the time of day, to be honest. Because when I hear, like, read your chart and it'll tell you this about somebody.
It's amazing how much the astrologers told me about myself that was completely true.
Yeah, but how do you know it's not just them just saying what you need to hear, what you want to hear? How do you know?
Because there are things that they cannot know unless they know what they're talking about.
I would need to go through this.
They don't know me. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's different for everybody. I would literally have to be in
Absolutely.
your shoes and experience that to be like, interesting.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it. I would
made
love
me
to meet
think.
someone that would...
It made me think. I can put you in touch with John Cicelli. He's wonderful.
Yeah?
And like, yeah, he, just by explaining some things about, it's very subtle. It's not black and white, like, you are a dick, or like, you...
But it's that subtlety that worries me, because it's not, it's so, like, subjective. It's a
gray
little blurry.
area.
Yeah, that
But
gray
just
area
like we are a gray area.
Yeah.
Like, we are ever-changing, evolving, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Humans that are picking something from here, picking something from there. There's a lot to consider when it comes to astrology.
I think I get what you're saying. I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
It's not an absolute science. It's not like zeros and ones, the microphone going into the computer and into the internet. It's about the subtleties of life, the subtle qualities of your character.
So maybe we shouldn't call it, like, no one should call it a science. It could be maybe a way of living, a way of life, a complicated thought of experience of life. I don't know what you call it, but I think science might be the wrong word. That's probably where it gets a bad rep, you know?
Sure.
It could be the wrong
absolutely.
way. It could be a different belief system or way of thinking other than a science, you know?
Yeah. I mean...
That would probably be better for it.
Words are signposts.
Yeah.
You know, the meaning of words changes with time so much. And like lately, I frankly don't like the trend of people treating science as God.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
No,
it's not absolute.
We get to a point where we don't have the answers. It's not fully absolute. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not absolute.
No.
Like all the conspiracy theories about COVID vaccines and all of that, like it can be painful to read and hear from people. But at the same time, I want people to be open enough to admit that science is not God.
No.
You know, science is made by humans. Humans are imperfect creatures.
Mm-hmm.
We are imperfectly perfect, if you will, if you want to be cliche. Mm-hmm. I feel like being cliche right now. We are imperfectly perfect. We do our best when we can, when we're working on something to try to understand it. Nobody fucking understood COVID when it happened. You know, so scientists did the best they could. They're still doing the best. We're learning as we go. Like it's all a learn as you go type of thing. So with astrology, I don't think it's like the smartest to just completely discount it because pop astrology is garbage.
Yeah, like, oh, I won't date so-and-so because they're a Leo.
Oh my God.
Right?
oh, that is such garbage.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. But that's the
Yeah.
stuff that you always hear,
Right.
and that's the
But
problem.
that's fake astrology, fake news.
But the thing is, how do you know when it's fake to not fake? How would
By
one
learning,
know?
learning a lot.
Exactly, going further.
Yeah, going
You've
further.
given me more information than anybody I've ever asked. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
At least you've not only given me more, but at least you've tried to explain more and to elaborate. Some
Yeah.
people just say like, I don't know, I just like it. I just like it because I feel
got
like
a
it gives
lot
me
out of
answers, and like, they just stop there.
Yeah.
You know?
I got a lot out of it about things that I am prone to doing. Like, I'm very intense. You know, there's no going around
Yeah,
it.
but I
It's
could have
like,
just told you that.
right, right. But like, not everybody you know is as intense as I am,
No,
right? Because
Definitely
not everybody is. Probably nobody you know is as
scared.
intense.
my legs have been shaking under the table. No, yeah, like. But did you need astrology to that, or could your
No,
friend or your
I-
husband just be like,
I
you're in-
knew that about myself.
yeah,
But that is connected to a certain type of energy. It's a subtle energetic connection between a certain, I'm not going to get into the constellation, but it's like a particular energy from a particular constellation that makes humans, that it doesn't like make you be a certain way, but it gives you potential qualities. Like
Yeah.
you are more likely than not to develop this certain quality in your character than this other person born on this other completely different day and different positions of everything in the sky when they were born. I love esoteric things. I love learning about it because I think it's not to your benefit to completely discount things you don't understand. Also, I realized, like, with, you know, my sexuality and suppressing that and acting homophobic, that we are afraid of that which we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And we discount things we don't understand. It's much easier to do that than to try to learn about it
Yeah.
and then try to make use of it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Astrology may not be for you, but also, like, you wouldn't be doing the absolute smartest thing by just saying that it's all garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, to me, it would be the same with, like, you don't know anything about music. You hear a song and you think it's garbage, and then you say, oh, music is garbage. Pop music, like, you hear a shitty pop song and you think that all pop music is garbage, when that's just like one song, literally, you know, one pop song.
I would love to talk to someone who
Knows
knew
about
way
it.
more about it, you know, would elaborate on more information.
Yeah,
It's just I'm so used to hearing the very superficial part of it.
right.
And I asked a further question, I get nothing from it. And like in any circumstance of any background, religious, astrology, any art form, anything, when I ask a question and no one can go further, then you instantly are turning me off. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
of course.
then what do you even believe? You don't even know.
Yeah,
Like, at least
why
have
do you believe this?
Have something if you're going to believe. That's the thing. I don't believe it, but I have nothing to back it up. So like, I have no reason to feel guilty about like not fully believing. It's like, well, I don't know. Like, I would like to learn more about it, but at least I don't claim something and not have anything to back it up. And that's a different ballgame, you know.
Yeah.
So
Plus, there's a lot of people out there who just talk shit they don't know anything about, and then they like, but I read this BuzzFeed article. Like, nobody cares, Susan. Shut up. Like, we've heard you.
I love your voices, by
Thank
the way.
you.
You've been doing them all day. Your old man voice, I think that's the classic female, I don't know, like whiny voice. I don't know what I know what you're doing. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. That's so funny. I mean, you said something interesting a second ago about fearing what you don't understand and suppressing your sexuality. And what made you learn not to do that, or what made you feel okay with talking about it, or having the ability to speak out loud about it to anybody? Just meeting people.
Yeah. It's insane.
That's
like,
the most important thing.
That's why I feel to my core that if you live in a big city and you're a bigot, you have no excuse for that. Like, no, you cannot blame your parents. If your parents didn't love you, you still have no excuse to be a bigot in a big city. Because the information is out there But if you choose not to take it, then you're not very smart, probably.
Yeah.
You know?
Not a deep thinker.
No.
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 Fascinating.
Yeah. What a roller coaster.
Yeah, we've gone some places.
Lots of places.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you being so candid and honest about everything.
Yeah. I'm always honest. That's
Oh, yeah.
a thing.
I've noticed.
It's a thing, yeah.
No, I mean, it's important. I've learned so much from hearing you speak and just talking to you. It's been nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for the kind things you've said. I really appreciate you saying that about me.
You're very easy to talk to.
Thank you.
You know, like when I saw you at the recording session, like I immediately was like, oh, this, like I know this guy. It's like, seriously, I felt like I've known you from, like, I don't know, a past life or something. Or maybe that's astrological bullshit. But I did feel that way, still do feel that way. Like,
Thank you.
It was like so instant. I didn't need to explain myself to you too much. You knew exactly what to do, how to do. So easy. You're a very good listener.
Thank you.
Very, very good listener.
Thank you. I would say the same thing about you. I will say the same thing about you.
Oh, please do.
But most importantly, what you said, what helps with that is people.
Yeah.
That wasn't the first time I've done that, you know?
Right.
When you work with thousands and thousands of people, that's how you can guess how long have you been playing violin for, you know?
That was so funny. You were like, so I said, so how long have I been, when did you start playing? I'm like, when did you think I started playing? And you're like, play a little bit. And like from 2 notes into it, you're like, you started at 5. I'm like, what? How?
And then you're like, how old am I? And I'm like, 28. When you hear enough people play an instrument, the control, the dexterity, the pitch recognition, the stability, the movement, the tone, the timbre, the quality, the resonation, everything about it comes up, and you just know, you just tell. I don't know. You hear it enough, you're just like, And then you meet enough people. People tell me their age. I don't know why, but you hear it enough, and you can just tell what people look like.
Right.
How they speak, their demeanor, their way they're dressed, the way they're kept. These are all factors in someone's age, you know?
You know, when I played in the country cover band, it was so funny. People would come up to me on stage and be like, are you 16? And I was like, why, thank you very much. People tend to think just by looking at me that I'm much younger than I am, and then I open my mouth.
Yeah. It was you speaking. I was like, she's in her early 20s, probably 28. That's so funny. Yeah, no.
Yeah. I had someone come up to me in a bar, and I'm playing like a 1 a.m. show in a bar, and he's like, are you even supposed to be here? And I'm like, yes, I'm 25.
I love your southern drawl. Are you even supposed to be here? Now, down by the creek, we get ourselves a popsicle, and the popsicle, I don't know why you're getting a popsicle by the creek, but, you know, when you're stuck in the Appalachian Trail for as long as I have been, you've seen some things. And the gas station, we only have unleaded. None of that premium garbage they sell you. German cars. My father was in the war. I don't like German cars.
Oh my God. Is this a little bit you've been working on?
I don't know. I'm just ranting. I've been to the South a lot, and I went camping in Tennessee my whole life, so I spent a lot of time around people with southern draws and in Kentucky, and then my family lives in Indiana, so I meet a lot of people in Indiana, and a lot of their family came from Kentucky, so it's around a lot, and I don't know if I'm good at it, but I definitely do it all the time, and it's fun.
I mean, I think you should be in a Tarantino movie.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Quentin should be calling you right about now, asking you to do one of the Southern
Quentin,
roles.
can I be in your final film, please? It's been my dad's dying dream to see the sunshine.
I love Tarantino. Obviously, you do too, because you have like a bunch of posters downstairs with
I had
Tarantino
2 of them,
movies.
Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction. Yeah. I love movies a lot. I haven't watched them as much as I used to. COVID made me go outside every day and like get away from watching stuff.
Dude, you're like the only one.
Yeah, I got rid of all my subscriptions and just started walking and going outside every day.
Are you serious? Are you okay?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm okay.
You're
is because I
better
did
than
that.
okay.
I saw the writing on the wall. I saw, well, when you hear that the worst thing you can do is to be sedentary and be overweight and to not take vitamins and to not eat well and sleep well, I was like, well, I guess I should just do all that. So if I get sick, I'll be okay. So I went extreme and did all those things because there was nothing else to do, by the way. Like all my work went away. And I was like, well, if I sit around watching stuff all day, that's not good for me. And I started to be under the mindset of I want to do everything with a purpose. Everything I do has pure intention, as much as I can get. So binge watching something on Hulu or Netflix isn't that. I don't want to be obsessive about it. I will have my moments when I'm on a, having a fun night on a date. Yeah, I'll watch stuff all night. I don't care. That's the point, to have those moments. It's the same thing with drinking. It's like I don't want to drink during the week or even every weekend, but if I'm having fun, if I'm seeing someone I haven't seen in a while, an old friend, I'm happy, 4th of July weekend, then I'm going to go crazy. Like, why not? Because I never do that. It's for fun. If I don't watch anything and out of nowhere, someone's like, oh, the show's great, let's watch a couple episodes. Okay, I could do that because I haven't been doing it all day, every day. And that's how I want to do everything in life. So I kind of...
Sounds like you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah, trying.
You would be jailed in some countries for that. Literally.
It's hard. I mean, it's so easy to Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu.
Yeah, it's mindless.
Showtime,
it's mindless.
HBO. I did it for a long time. I didn't sleep well, and I would just watch stuff all night, and that aided and abetted the not sleeping well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I had you just got to be mature and realize like there's better ways to spend my time than to do that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So now when I watch a movie, it's like very intentional. It's like I'm gonna watch a movie with this person. I'm not gonna look at my phone. We're gonna sit there and watch it. And like, I'm gonna take it in, take something from it, and talk about it afterwards, and have fun and like learn. And if it's a comedy, laugh, and if it's a drama, learn something from it. If it's a thriller that has a twist, like try to figure that twist out.
Yeah.
But not sit there all day, every day, like, gotta watch my show. It's like, well, it's not your show. You don't own it and you didn't make it. I love that. Gotta watch my show. I hope to never hear that again.
Gotta watch my program.
Gotta watch my television program on TNT. I like TNT a lot. It's nitroglycerin. It's my favorite channel.
Oh, shots fired.
Oh my God. Do you know how long we've been talking for?
I don't.
Guess.
2.5 hours? 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah. It's going to be one long podcast.
They usually are between like 2.5 to 4.
Holy shizzle.
I'm having a blast. This has been a good one.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying yourself?
I'm having such a fun time.
Right?
Let's do this again.
We should do it again.
Totally.
I mean, I have no rules. I'm just talking to people. No script, nothing. I've been asked, like, how do you come up with the questions? Like, I just listen and I ask what makes sense to me in that time and space. I don't know. I asked a person, I was like, oh, you should come on the podcast. You'd be a really cool person to talk to. And he was just like, you guys sent me the questions before. I was like, I don't have any.
I don't do that.
No, I just spew out information.
Right.
I mostly listen, and then you learn what to ask if you just listen.
Yeah.
If
you just fucking listen.
Gotta listen. That's a skill. I find myself doing that well, and then sometimes I find myself not, and I get embarrassed. I find myself waiting for, maybe not so much here, because the headphones, microphone locked in thing helps a lot with waiting.
Person looking into your soul.
Yeah, looking into your soul. But outside of this, when you're just hanging out with people, I catch myself waiting for my turn to talk. And I'll admit to it, I don't do it as much as I used to. I'll be honest.
Most people don't even understand that they do that.
Oh, I'm aware of it. I feel embarrassed afterwards. I might not say anything, but I'll feel guilty. And there's very few times I don't do that. I only do that a few times now. And I try not to do it all. I'm trying to get to the point where I never do that again. It's just natural to only be there, be present, listen.
The first thing I noticed about you is that you really listened. Like, you asked me some question about some chord or something, and then I was answering, but you were, like, really listening. I was like, how often do I talk to a sound engineer who's, like, not staring at the board or at the screen while they ask me a question and they expect a reply. Like it was instantaneous. I was like, wow, this guy is really present in the here and the now.
I like to learn, and talking to different musicians. Like, I don't play violin, and to meet people who play a violin or the flute or who are singing in a different language, like especially when there's a communication breakdown, you speak English, but because you have an accent and you learn so late, you have interesting ways of saying a sentence or saying a point. It's not wrong. It's just
different.
It's different.
Yeah.
So
I used to feel very embarrassed about it, by the way. Like,
no, you speak 3 languages. You should not feel embarrassed at all.
I'm fluent in English, even though I have weird phrasings.
You're
sometimes.
Fluent? Yeah.
Yeah. It's my best language at the moment because I speak it the most time.
You've used words that are complicated. You've used $10 words,
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, it's good. It's a good thing. You should not be ashamed. And yeah, I also have learned, like, it's a good thing as a person to pay attention. It's a good thing in a selfish way for my job if I know what's going on and I could best be like, and figure it out. It helps in every facet. For selfish reasons and for non-selfish reasons. It's a good thing.
It's okay to be selfish.
It's natural.
100%. Children are great to learn from. Children are so selfish. They will just want to get what they want to get, and then they want to move on with their lives.
Yeah.
But yet somehow we're guilt-tripped into believing that that's not the way that it should work. But that's how everybody operates.
Some
Everybody.
people are just more open with it than others,
Like some choose to be okay with that quality of theirs, and others feel embarrassed or like that they're using some. No, we're constantly using each other.
Yeah.
Like it's just a fact of life. We are constantly using each other, and hopefully to the better good, for
That's
the better
my goal.
good.
My goal is to be aware of that selfish act, but try to do something good with it for myself and that person involved as much as I can without it being only about myself.
Right.
It's, no, you're not wrong. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Kids. The kids are hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's this one comedian, he has a funny joke about kids. He's just like, they're so loud.
Which comedian is it?
What's it? Tom Segura.
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
It is a bit. I forgot. I was watching it recently. I was cracking up. Just like, I want a sippy cup. And just like yelling. Like, why are you yelling? Like, calm down. I'm like, I'm right here. Like, stop yelling. Some kids are loud.
Yeah.
I love the making fun of the crying kid. Just like they can't breathe. The snot's going into the mouth.
Right.
You're just a mess. You're like, dude, relax. Like a panic attack. And then he said to me you're just like, whoa. I used to be that kid, so I can do it really well. I can make fun of myself.
There are really useful techniques to dealing with children like that. My mother-in-law is a brilliant mom. I learned this from her, that if a child talks like that, like they're like just unable to express what they want, what she would do is she would look at them very calmly and say, I don't understand when you speak like that. And then they would be my husband told me that he like distinctly remembers that, I guess like she can't understand me, so I can't get what I need, what I want. And so they would automatically calm down and speak in a normal voice.
Yeah, that's
in
a good point.
In a normal manner.
It's feeding into that becomes a problem where it's like, it's okay, it's okay. When you baby someone,
right?
That's when it feeds into it.
Babying is just
not good.
No, it's not healthy.
No, it's not. It doesn't.
Unless it's your cat, you can baby your cat.
Animals, how could you not? Dogs. Yes. You saw Bo.
Oh, he's so cute.
How do you not baby Bo?
No, you can't.
He's just like a big, camel.
Lovable.
Yeah, he's so big.
Yeah.
It's funny. He knocks people over all the time. It's great. Like, if you're not paying attention, he leans up on you to give you like a little hug. He'll knock you over. He's like 120 pounds.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's heavier than me.
It's funny. I've said his weight many times, and many people, mostly women, have been like, he's heavier than me. Or weighs as much as I do. I'm just like, yeah. He's a big boy.
Yeah,
He's
big
huge.
boy.
Yeah. What time do you have to leave? You said you had practice tonight?
I do have practice tonight. What time is it?
6:30.
Probably should go. Have we solved all the problems of the universe?
No, but you'll be on someday again soon. We'll
Okay.
pick up right where we left off.
Oh,
Yeah.
which is nobody remembers
We
when.
went so many places.
Yeah,
and
we
we
did.
missed a lot of points.
We sure
We'd
did.
be like, oh yeah, and then just but there's no rules.
That's when you know it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a good
exactly.
time.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful.
It is really wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you and meeting you, and
Likewise.
you're a very talented violinist, very talented.
Thank you.
And you're going to keep doing great things with it. Can't wait to see it all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you everyone for listening. Toodles.
Toodaloo.
Toodles.